he wore purple all the time, could we legally call him the Grapist?
Why everyone going with the Mephisto theories? I was like,
That's
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Happy 616th Marvel Family. Woo-hoo. Today, we are going to be getting into our second movie review. And this one I've been looking forward to for quite some time. But before we get started, I would like to say that we actually received one of our first critiques on our last movie review, being Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, last time, after they heard it, they were informing me that although I had announced that I quite liked the movie, it sounded like that I was taking too much of a turn of the negative aspect rather than talking about why I liked it. So from now on, I'm gonna establish whether or not I really do like a movie or if I don't. And today's gonna be a prime example of a very one-directional mindset. You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So, since we may have been a little too negative on Shang-Chi, that is a subject that might be, if I can talk today, English is hard. That is a subject we may come back on again to talk about the more positive sides. I'll have to talk about it to my co-host. So in the meantime, oh, what's this? Is this in my pocket? Can it be? It's a ring. Look at that. What? I think I'm going to add that to my review of my Shang-Chi review. In total, it gets 8 rings. How about that?
Whoa, what? Oh, it's so unexpected. Where did that come from? That's crazy.
Magic.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Power of Disney.
Out of Disney, yeah. When it comes to Disney, magic it solves all your problems. No questions asked.
Exactly.
Even though one property of magic says that it's always a press pay with magic. But we are not here to talk about that. Today, we are here to talk about Venom 2. Let There Be Carnage. Or just Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Ooh,
now, the second one, if you haven't been paying attention. Now, if you have seen this came out, in October last year?
I think so, yeah, October, yeah.
Yeah. So this came out October, like a few months before Spider-Man came out. And turns out it actually made quite a lot of money. The reason why I bring this up is because I believe that it doesn't deserve all that money at all. And we'll get a little bit more into it. Yeah.
No.
This is going to be a very spoiler-heavy review because, I've got quite a few things to say about this movie. I've been looking forward to this. So, before we get into our full review, and we're not going to be giving a spoiler-free review, we're just going to jump straight into it.
Oh yeah.
Let's put in a recap of what happened. So, from the events from the first Venom movie, Venom and Eddie Brock are now living together in their life as a journalist. Turns out Eddie Brock is not doing so hot, so he needs a new review from a very infamous serial killer known as Cletus Cassidy. Cletus Cassidy has taken a great interest into Eddie Brock and is looking to strike a deal with him in exchange for something. We don't know quite yet. As the turn of events goes on, trying to talk more to Cletus about his story, a little accident happens to where a new symbiote is born inside of Cletus Cassidy, and now we have the new threat, the new villain for Venom, known as Carnage. Will Venom be able to come together with Eddie Brock once again to take down another member of his species? Who knows? That's what we're here to talk about, and how they do it. There's a better dramatic way of saying that, but we're past that now. So, to get into it, we are going to go back to the Wheel of Names and find out who's going to speak first. I'm very excited to see what you guys have to say because I pretty much forced them to watch this movie.
At gunpoint, yeah, we didn't have a choice.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they had a choice. It's just that the other one led to death.
Yeah, choice of life or death, you know? Pretty good.
Yeah, one of them led to death and one of them just led to pain. So they had to choose wisely.
It's a hard decision.
Very hard decision. Our first speaker is going to be... Look at that! Christopher!
Oh.
Congratulations! I find it kind of funny because Christopher seems to be the most optimistic and positive out of most of us. Oh, the three of us.
Oh.
So I'm interested to see what you have to say about this movie.
Oh, yes, Venom. There Be Carnage, yes, I gotta say. I was fairly excited, for the prospect of a second Venom movie. I thought the first one was pretty good, I felt like it had, there's room for improvement. There's, the pacing was, I don't know, perhaps a little wacky and stuff, and the villain was just kind of there, didn't really feel too much for the villain, to be honest. But what I liked a lot was just Venom and Eddie's relationship. I thought that was really one of the things that carried the movie. Just seeing them interact with each other was pretty darn fun. So it was great to see that. More in this movie too. It was, we got a lot more of that since Venom and Eddie are roommates. They sort of have that sort of roommate dynamic going on there. Sort of the classic trope of, these two best friends are together, but then they break up. Oh no! But then they come together in the end. It's sort of the classic friendship trope there. You see it so many times. The freaking Harry and Ron and Goblet of Fire, all that stuff. So fun times.
Yeah, it kind of feels like kind of felt like a buddy cop movie, like the first one.
Yeah.
That's almost like near the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So I gotta say that I feel like it has its flaws. It's not perfect, and it can be pretty dumb at times, but I think that's sort of the charm of it, that it knows that it's dumb. It's not trying to present itself as like some sort of philosophical question or anything, or sort of a super smart like heist movie or anything like that. Anything that it's not. It is what it is, basically. It knows what it's doing, and it does it really well. Sort of this campy feel that we don't see very much either anymore, really. Like, we see like some of the older superhero movies with a lot of camp, like say Batman and Robin and stuff like that, and the original Captain America movie and the Nick Fury movie, stuff like that has a lot of camp that isn't super grounded. It's just silly and fun.
I completely forgot they made a Nick Fury movie, didn't they?
Yes, David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, it was David Hasselhoff. I completely forgot about that.
Yes, we got to bring that into the multiverse. It's gonna be great. The kids will love it.
Keep me up with Sam Jackson. That's actually the plot of Secret Invasion.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I could actually see that happening. That could be a funny premise where like they see like it's a Nick Fury from the multiverse, but it turns out like the Skrulls like betrayed him, and like it's like he goes on a rant for saying like, why the hell do they think I look like David Hasselhoff?
Oh man, that'd be gold right there. They got to do that. Oh man. But yeah, one of the reasons I really like this movie though is that we see a lot of more serious superhero movies. Like say Marvel, of course, has its comedy, but at its core, it does feel like it usually takes itself pretty seriously. There's the occasional making fun of themselves bits here and there, but for the most part, it does seem to be more serious in terms of the way it presents itself as taking itself seriously instead of sort of making fun of itself most of the time. And same with DC too, even more so with DC. Typically, well, I guess it depends on who the director is and what the project is in general, but DC tends to take itself pretty seriously as well in terms of like its source material and stuff like that, and its characters, with the exception of some recent stuff like Peacemaker. Definitely sort of falls into that sort of campiness vibe too, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, I thought it was great to see something like this. Like, this is a superhero movie we don't see too often, so I thought that was quite fun, if you can call it a superhero movie. I guess it's sort of like anti-hero sort of stuff. But yeah, honestly, I had a lot of fun. At first, when I saw it in the theater, there's like, and in the beginning, I was like, I wasn't like fully committed to it yet. I was like, it's kind of weird. Like, it's going really fast. Like, you get Cletus Cassidy's introduction, then bam, things happen super fast. Like, oh, you blink and he's broken out of jail already. He's Carnage, stuff like that. So it goes by pretty darn fast. which
I think they were expecting the end credit scene to do like most of the legwork there on the introduction.
honestly,
yeah, that's what I felt too.
Just like, hey, you were introduced to him in that like scene in the end credits, even though we haven't really earned our end credits being like prime examples of our movies, like Marvel did. So we literally just did it.
exactly. Hey, you already know what Cletus Cassidy is, right? You saw the end credit scene. You're good. All right, move on.
There was an end credit scene.
Wait, what? I missed that.
When I get out of here, and I will, there's gonna be spoilers.
Oh, yes.
There's gonna be a sequel.
Oh no. Oh.
That's how I felt.
Oh no! Another thing with that's also another thing with adding a spoiler section to this review. Is there really like?
Is there really what?
Oh, is there really spoilers?
Oh, like, are you asking, like, is there really spoilers? Like,
to Venom, into Let There Be Carnage, like, that's sort of...
I suppose not, because, I mean, like, everybody at this point is expecting the good guy to win.
Yeah.
And,
which is literally, like, the only thing that kind of happened in it.
yeah, I mean, and also, it's, like, the villain is a serial killer, and why wouldn't you root for the guy who's gonna like take down the serial killer? Like, how worse could you get in a movie?
Yeah.
Especially one that's gonna be trying to pander to like young adults and adults, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like purposely, because like what was it? I believe it was originally like rated, that the first Venom was gonna go into a rated R direction, but then like Sony's like last minute, nope, we gotta sell toys. So like they cut out, like, if I'm remembering this correctly, they cut out 40 minutes of the original take to give what we saw in October 2018.
2018 was actually a pretty big Spider-Man year.
Yeah, because there was one of his movies came out.
2014 was, by contrast, his worst year.
That is going to be another review on its own. We'll get to that one day.
Oh, yes.
I promise you. But yeah, to go back to your question, yeah, I mean, if you like take a look at like what people liked versus what's going to be expected, it's like what else can you really expect from the movie? Because like the main thing that a lot of people liked from the first movie was the relationship that was established for this version of Eddie Brock and Venom, and like people are going to want to see that. And then later on, you're just going to have another fight scene that was reminiscent of the first movie.
Yeah.
So is that what you were trying to get at?
Yeah, I was just like wondering with getting rid of the spoiler section for this review, and yeah, frankly, it just is kind of fitting. In a way with this movie anyway.
I didn't think about that. I was just saying no spoilers because I want to really tear this movie apart.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't.
That explains everything.
This was not coming from a logical point of view. This was out of pure hatred. It's full emotion. I don't want that logic shit, that nerd shit on this show, okay?
Just anger.
Just anger. The hate is swelling. Use your aggressive feelings.
Oi.
Let the hate flow through you.
Yep.
No,
it's
yeah, but it is funny that you bring that up because I actually didn't think about it that way. But yeah, I mean, the movie is as simple as you're gonna expect it to be. So it's I honestly didn't think about that. It's kind of funny. Anyway.
But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry we cut you off, Christopher. You were saying about
Oh, that's all good. Yeah. So it does go by really fast. It has a pretty fast pacing, which does make it feel like it's pretty rushed at times. But I guess if you don't like the movie, then it's, hey, the faster the pacing, the faster it's over with, right? So here we go.
Double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
Enjoying it, it's over with quickly. If you're not, it's over with quickly.
Oh, exactly.
Just rip that Band-Aid off as fast as you can.
Yep.
Oh, yes. But yeah, I thought it was, pretty fun. Like I said, it has its problems, but I'm willing to overlook it. That there is a certain point in the movie that I realized, like, what it was. Like, I didn't have a lot of, like, high expectations going into the movie, to be honest. Because, the first one I thought was, was good, but it wasn't, like, anything that blew me away. So there's, like, a certain point where I just sort of just accepted the movie for what it was. Like, at first it's like, it's kind of messy, isn't it? But now I'm like, this is fun. And the second time I saw it, I was like, I already knew what to expect, so it was even more fun. I was like, sometimes for me, when I see a movie for the first time and when I see it for the second time, I sort of have, like, this, I don't know, like, hype or whatever afterwards, just like, that was so fun, this is great. And then after the second time I see it, it's like really when I start to really form my opinions, because I'm away from that hype and I've seen it already, so I know what to expect. And I don't know, but I thought this was going to be one of those movies where I saw it the first time, I was like, wow, this is pretty great. And then the second time I was like, oh, never mind. But no, this movie, I gotta say, maybe I liked it even more the second time because I already knew what to expect. And I don't know, it's just such a fun movie, just sort of mindless fun that I really just enjoyed. That it's definitely, pales into comparison to other superhero movies, especially in the past year. But it's just fun. It's just so entertaining.
Really? So you actually enjoyed it the second time after watching it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first time I thought it was pretty fun, but the second time I was like, this is pretty good. This is a fun time. Like, this is a movie I could just put on whenever, just for fun, just if I don't want to think about anything, just want to see some alien slime beat up each other, and this guy talking to this freaking symbiote guy, like, I'm down. I'm good for that. So yeah, it's just sort of a fun time, not too much brain power required to just sit back and enjoy. It's just fun.
And to be clear, you're talking about the second movie or the first
yes
movie?
Yes, the second one, yeah.
Okay. Really, I actually found that to be surprising. But then again, Christopher has displayed and expressed before that he very much loves Marvel, so I suppose that is to be expected.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna hate some of my opinions later, especially on Tasm too.
oh, don't worry, I will. But right now we're here to bring out the relatable human side of you. So don't worry. So since you mentioned before that you enjoyed it more in the second time, what parts about the movie kind of got you around to your current opinion about it?
Yeah, I gotta say, just like the whole, of course, it was to be expected already going into the movie based on the first one, and sort of public opinion on the first one as well, as to what people generally seem to like more or less compared to like what they didn't like. I gotta say, definitely like, I thought it was just, basically just Venom and Eddie's relationship, I think, was really what got me. I just thought it was such a fun dynamic that we don't see very often. Like, it's definitely different from a lot of other takes of Venom and Eddie. So I thought that was pretty fun to see. It's just such a fun and enjoyable time just seeing Tom Hardy just goof around and just talking to himself, basically. It's fun.
Yep.
Was there anything else, or is it more of like just the relationship between Eddie and Venom for you?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's definitely like the main reason that I really liked it, because I thought that was just such a fun time. I don't know, I guess just like the overall just wackiness feeling of it just feels like a pretty wacky movie, especially with Cletus. Like, he's just such a wacky character that it's pretty fun too. So I guess, yeah, just like the overall feel of the movie also was really what turned me around to it. That it was just, yeah, just kind of just a very, very fun movie that's, just didn't require, like I said, just doesn't require too much brain power. You sit back and enjoy it, and just laugh along and enjoy these fun characters.
So you're saying it's more of like a enjoyable experience because it's looking to be just fun and nothing else, really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It totally knows what it's doing, and it knows what it is. They don't try to hide that fact that that's campy and fun. So I think that's what's great about it.
Well, I'm good. We have a positive view, and it looks like I was right about that. Was there any like a specific part in the movie that like really stuck out to you, like made you laugh, or that you really admired? Something that just really caught your eye?
Oh yes, yeah. I gotta say, definitely, of course, the apartment scene. Eddie and Venom's fight is pretty fun, and Eddie, sort of the first half of the movie with Eddie for the most part, where solves the crimes and stuff like that with Venom's help. That was pretty fun. And I gotta say, the final fight too, I thought was pretty good. The final fight in the first one, it's kind of there honestly, but this one though, I felt like it was definitely a little better handled. That's of course not like the best like final showdown for a superhero ever. Especially since like that's the only time we really see Venom and Carnage fight. It's like just the one time pretty much. But I thought it was pretty well handled. That it was a pretty fun fight, all things considered. That's a nice.
No first act superhero battle for these two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just down to the nitty gritty.
Well, that's interesting to hear. I think that does it about my questions. Victor, do you have any questions for Christopher on his view of Venom 2?
Who was your favorite character of Venom 2? Let There Be Carnage.
Yes. I gotta say it's probably gonna have to go with Venom. I guess the standard answer there. The name of the movie is he's half the name right there already. So he's the franchise. So that's I thought.
What was your favorite character? The main one.
The main guy. That's the only guy that I like.
That's fine.
Default.
Yes, that's me. I gotta say that I thought that Woody Harrelson was pretty solid as Cletus. He's crazy, but he doesn't like really dip into that like absolutely like insane side of Cletus that we see in the comics. But I thought he's still a pretty good choice. But I gotta say that Carnage, I don't know. I was kind of expecting him to be more wild and stuff, but he seems kind of tame and just sort of angry, but not like chaotic or anything. So I thought that was one character that was like yeah, he's alright, I guess. Like Carnage, if I could have just had that more chaotic energy and more just like murdery, insane guy instead of just sort of just an angry red dude, I guess. So that was one thing that one character that I was kind of iffy on, I guess. But the rest I thought were still pretty good. It was fun seeing Annie again and stuff like that, and the guy that she's dating / is engaged to, whatever his name is, Paul or something. That guy, classic.
Dan.
Yeah, that guy.
It always ends up being a Dan.
Dan.
Every time there's like an ex situation and they end up getting with someone else, it's always a Dan.
Always Dan. If you're Dan, you're a lucky man.
Or you're an unlucky man, depending on your competition in the world. In this case, being Venom. In other cases, I've seen Dan's in superhero media with the ex-girlfriend or soon-to-be girlfriend situation competition deal. Is like Lucifer, so the devil himself. So like these Dans are like always in the middle of something like crazy.
Man,
I pity the Dans more than anything.
Oh, honestly, to be a Dan, it's a hard life.
Daniel Radcliffe, you're never gonna have a proper girlfriend. Sorry, bud.
You're gonna be fighting against Harry Potter, ironically.
Yep.
Dang,
sorry,
rough.
pal. That's just the law.
You're a Dan now, so.
Oh my! How funny would that be if like there was like these girls that were like at Hot Topic or something, and then they're selling like a whole bunch of Harry Potter stuff. Daniel Radcliffe like walks past, and like they can't recognize him because he has like the beard, right? And he's like trying to like get on like their level.
Now.
Yeah, and they're absolutely gaga for him, and he's like admiring them, and he's like hey, do you like my which movie is your favorite? It's like this one, like Order of the Phoenix or something. He's like and he's like trying to ask him a whole bunch of questions, but they're not catching on that he's trying to to hint that he's Harry Potter.
No,
like,
did you like my
all.
performance?
And, like Yeah, they're not. Yeah, so it's like, oh, was there like a favorite part that day? It's like, what do you mean you did? And they're not even making eye contact with them. They just keep looking at like the shirts or whatnot, just completely ignoring him, and he gets talked by himself.
Poor Dan.
Sorry, buddy. That's just how life is. Sometimes it's cruel.
It is.
So, what would you say would be your least favorite part, or you thought was the worst part of the movie that really hurt it as a film?
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like there's, for me at least, there's not like one specific part that just stands out like a sore thumb that's like, this made it terrible. This is the worst part of the movie. Degraded it massively. I feel like there's like some smaller things. I don't know, maybe not even smaller things, but like just things that overall like impacted the movie that just sort of didn't have like one specific points where they were at their worst, but just sort of like I don't know, like thinking through the scenes, like there's not really one scene. At first, the first time I saw that movie, I wasn't too big on like the very opening of like Cletus's origin story, I believe that's where it starts. But you know, now after seeing it the second time, I was like, all right, you know, I like this better now. It's all right. Maybe that was my least favorite scene, but I don't know. I felt like that scene in particular was pretty darn rushed. So that might be it for me, I guess.
Are you talking about like in the very beginning, or like that little Tim Burton drawing?
The very beginning, yeah, not the Tim.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird stuff in that scene, like the fact that they make Woody Harrelson dub over like this like 20-year-old looking guy in an asylum, and his voice, like they put in his voice over this kid, and I kid you not, like I was listening to it and I kept rewinding it because like the deliveries of it is so odd. Like there's like his first line.
Oh my god, that is so true.
Yeah, there's like a part where he goes like, "My angel."
Oh god.
This is for you. I mean, I know he's supposed to be crazy and all, but the fact that he's getting upset that his love, like his one true love, is being taken away, and he comes off as like a guy who's never talked to anybody before, or like he's trying to be like a dramatic poet or something like that.
Yeah.
They can't take you. Yeah, they can't take you away from me. You're my one bright light.
Oh my goodness.
Suddenly, Cletus went all Western in the video.
Yeah, it's weird because he kept switching the accent. If you notice that, like
yeah, that's true.
Because in the comics, Cletus Cassidy is supposed to be basically like a crazy hick. He's got like a thick Southern accent, and he's basically like the stereotype of like the ginger without a soul, but like pushed to 11.
Basically, in Marvel, gingers actually don't have souls, except when you're Mary Jane.
Exactly, yeah.
She's the only one.
Exactly. The only one. Pepper doesn't count. But yeah, Cletus Cassidy's a complete psycho, and he's got like a really heavy accent. But in the movie, I don't know if it was up to the direction of him, but like sometimes he would have like a heavy accent of a Southern American accent, and sometimes he wouldn't, and sometimes he would just sound like Woody Harrelson. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, Woody Harrelson's totally. Stuff is all over the place. I'd recommend watching the movie with subtitles, which I did upon my rewatch, because
that's what I did too.
Yeah, hey.
I had to with Woody Harrelson alone. And
babies, I got to have it.
Like, for instance, like one of his lines in that intro with like him dub over the kid there, who I thought was like Canadian star Ari Millen for a second. I looked it up and he wasn't, but yeah, he looked like a lot like him.
Just a minute.
J.R. Millen isn't a redhead, but you know, dies and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, with Is that like when he said Francis says she was like being carried away? Like I thought he said racist for a second. Like that's how thick his accent
Wait,
was.
wait.
Racist!
No.
Racist!
Like I thought that was what he was saying, and I was like, are you like accusing them of racism for like taking a serial killer away? Like what? What's that?
Or was he calling the black girl being taken away racist?
Wait, no. Oh no.
Yeah, there's something. It's funny.
One last
mention that-
plea.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that
accuse
because
the hospital workers of racism, therefore you can get it back.
it's like, oh boy, drop the girl. I'm not going down this rabbit hole.
No. Don't cancel me, please.
please. And that's like the true scarring moment of Detective Mulligan. It's not that he becomes half deaf, it's that he's almost accused of being racist.
This poor guy.
Yeah.
That's his dark past.
Oh man.
But it's funny you mentioned that because it's weird, like some of the deliveries of like some actors, like when they're cut away too, because like one of the things like that reminds me of it was when I went to see Justice League with my family and my brother. Like for the longest time, like and it's the scene where Barry, the Flash, is talking to his dad, and his dad is in prison. The reason why is because he's.
Yeah, I recognize. It's actually a famous delivery deal on the internet where.
Yeah, but so in the movie, his dad is being taken away because like his time's up. He can't talk to visitors anymore. So the prison guard, like the way he recorded it, or they recorded him, he's in the far back, so you can't exactly hear what he's saying because I think he wasn't just close enough to the mic. Now in the movie, he says, "Open the gate," and he says it like this: "Open the gate." But for some reason, my brother and I guess a lot of other people too, I found out like people thought he said as he's being taken away, he's like, "Don't be gay."
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Don't be gay. After he's kind of given a long and good, emotional conversation. Just don't be gay.
Undercut by that. Oh, was that a Whedon line or was that a Snyder line?
It was snuck in there because they found out that Ezra Miller likes to dress in drag.
Oh no.
Zack Snyder.
That's the same case with Woody Harrelson, you know? He just like accuses people of racism just like casually.
Racist!
Oh my god.
Oh man.
That would have taken a movie in a different turn if he actually was saying racist. He was the cause of the social justice warrior movement. Like, he was the beginning of what we call cancer culture. And that's why he has a following.
You know, he has C in his supervillain name, so, you know, I guess it kind of works. I don't know.
All I
True.
wanted in this
Carnage
world
kid.
was to be canceled.
Oh.
Alright.
Okay, well, now since we fully analyzed that scene,
Yeah, just 1 second of the movie left. A couple more minutes to go. The over analysis.
so now that we've confirmed that Cletus Cassidy is a social justice warrior, I want to say thank you to Christopher for expressing your opinion on the movie. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the movie, like that you may have left out, or what?
Oh, that's all I got. Yeah, but yeah, thank you.
All right, awesome. So I'm gonna cheat here a bit.
Oh.
Although I was using the wheel, I have a feeling that Victor is going to be somewhere in the middle of the opinions that both Christopher and I have, because I have a feeling that he's not going to be as emotional as I am towards this movie. So I'm going to let him go first, so he doesn't get overwhelmed by my rage soon to come.
Yep. All right then. I will accept this turn, but be warned: the mighty wheel. It has control over you, as we learned last
you're
week.
It demands its penance.
Yep. And
whoa, wait! I'm sorry. I completely forgot. Christopher, what is your rating out of 10 symbiotes? What do you give this movie?
After all, there's a whole bunch of
actually,
symbiotes.
Actually, I changed my mind. We're gonna do tater tots since that's one of my favorite treats.
Tater tots, yes. I'm gonna give this one. Oh boy.
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Did you just say -1?
No, I was thinking -1 tater tot.
Damn.
Oh, and I thought I was gonna be bad.
I'm gonna give this one 7 tater tots out of 10.
7 tater tots.
7
okay,
tater
cool.
tots. We'll go for it. All in.
Okay, so sorry for interrupting you, but now I will officially pass the mic metaphorically over to Victor. Please share with us your opinion on Venom. Let There Be Carnage.
All right. Well, Venom. First with like the first film, yeah, that one I definitely felt was, it's like, as previously like mentioned, like, yeah, the best dynamic was Eddie and Venom, which, you know, is a good thing to have. They got a lucky break there, of like, yeah, that people like your protagonist. It's just, yeah, your story kind of sucks. And
I
like,
feel like that they really did get lucky with the dynamic that they put in for the relationship of Venom and Eddie. But I think it's probably because it's kind of a unique relationship.
the trouble was with the first movie, they were kind of cut on each other's motives, because like it definitely seemed like things were on the cutting room floor there in terms of like motivations and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, the random, of course, Venom pointing out that on his plan he was a loser, and so is Eddie, and then like, wait a minute, was this ever brought up? Like, are they just suddenly friends now? Like, what's going on?
Wait a second.
But yeah, this movie, they had a solid dynamic from the beginning, so, you know, nothing I feel is really like suddenly on the cutting room floor or whatever. They're setting up more movies, like Sony typically likes doing, but which, you know, is a welcome cut. Like of Sony begging them to watch more of their Spider-Man-less fun movies.
I like your description of that Spider-Man less movie.
That should be the universe.
Yeah, that's the marketing for it.
There's no Spider-Man in this movie.
God, you have no idea how much I hate that. Like the fact that like they know that the majority of people who keep up with the news on Spider-Man, like, they're going to know that this character is related to Spider-Man, but they know for a fact that they can't expect to see Spider-Man. God, I hate that they take advantage of that.
Oh man.
And like, yeah, now they're just like plain playing with it on like more Orbius and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, with Venom, he's the one that frankly it works the best with, because like, yeah, he's not been Spider-Man's villain for like decades now. Like, you know, just because he's known for it in like animated media for like 100% Spider-Man like all the time. He never has a social life outside the guy. Like, when you actually get into like the comics themselves, like Venom is the lethal protector, and like all this stuff in these solo films, and like, you know, that does exist. Like that Spider-Man. Even like an origin where like Eddie initially gets the suit and Spider-Man's not related. That has even happened in like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
that event happened. which seems to also be the direction they're going in terms of giving Venom Spider-Man's powers as well, like him getting it after already bonding with Eddie.
Yeah.
I look forward to that once that eventually happens. Again, no spoilers if they like tease to that or anything with the latest Spider-Man. Again, I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to this actual movie, I do lean on more Venom and Eddie's dynamic, which is like it's good for the movie, but like the plot still hasn't really reached anything. Like,
What do you mean by it hasn't reached anything?
well, it's still generic in many ways. There's not really anything new presented. I don't find any like twists and turns. Like it's a situation where it's like there's a beginning, middle, and end to this movie, and like you got somewhat of an arc to qualify it for the position of a movie.
Uh-huh.
You know, if it was like interviewing for one or something. And like it does its job. Like, you know, there's the big climax of a movie, you know, there's conflict between Eddie and Venom because like, you know, Venom wants to eat brains. Eddie understandably does not want to eat brains. That leads them into a sort of conflict carrying over the last movie in a way. More of a different one of like Eddie being arrogant about his new success, which just suddenly comes. People just suddenly trust Eddie.
No, yeah, this guy, yeah, of course we trust him.
Which is only because Carnage randomly also trusts Eddie. That there was like this story on Cletus Cassidy and everything, which apparently all happened off screen. Like, during, I guess, the time when Eddie wasn't fired from his job in Venom 1. And, like, yeah, we're just, like, supposed to accept that detail. Like, yeah, the movie happens, like, there's no real twists and turns. They even, like, have a very self-contained finale. I mean, it's better than the last one in terms of, like, the overall action beats and stuff, because of Andy Serkis, the king of motion capture, directing this.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
So even with that, and yeah, the impressive visuals this time around, like that was also one of the negatives in the first one. Like, yeah, there was some pretty good special effects compared to like Spider-Man 3 symbiote, but at the same time, like, it still is very generic action. Like, it just was a bunch of goopballs sort of throwing themselves at each other. And like, yeah, with this one, you got some creative action beats with the session and such.
Well, one of the things that bothers me so much about that scene is like, even though I would say that this fight scene is better than the one against Riot in the first one, it's just that they're shape-shifting goo monsters that can regenerate, and there are certain points in the fight where they're fighting each other, and it clearly shows that they're in pain, but us as the audience, we can't tell like what's a little to a fatal blow.
Yeah, in some sequences in that final scene, it feels like the symbiotes are just invincible. Like,
it's almost like, what's the point? It's kind of like that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean where Barbossa and Jack Sparrow are now immortal. It's like they're fighting each other, but there's really no point because they can't kill each other. But like the reason as to why Jack Sparrow is continuously fighting Barbossa is
by comparison, we know that the symbiotes can die from the first one. So it's a bit of a different situation where they just kind of ignore their own rules, just to prolong the action sequence.
Yeah, because Jack Sparrow's like fighting to distract him, so like Will and what's her name, Elizabeth can like break the curse, and then that leads to like him shooting him. But in this one, it just seems like he just fights him until he figures out. It's like, oh yeah, I need to apply his weakness like later on.
Which again, even then, like they had the weakness like straight up at the beginning of the fight, and like that didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's like
Nobody's affected. Both Venom and Carnage both are just like, okay, let's just retract into our human hosts. That way they can fight without all our CGI.
Yeah, it seems odd that you introduce a character that is a villain and her main superpower is their weakness, both the protagonist and the main antagonist. And the fact that Venom doesn't use that until the very end of the fight, it seems very odd to me, especially when Dan comes in interrupting the fight to pour fire onto Carnage. And when he does, he kind of just gets over it after a little while.
And yeah, like the beats for it therefore don't feel as meaningful. Like I said, it's basically just a 3-act structure, and then the film is over. Like at Eddie, because like Eddie's getting all this credit for like what I was saying was like, yeah, we had like a second act breakup of Venom and Eddie. And like, yeah, it's just solved in the end, and that's sort of the only like conflict of the movie. There's no twists and turns with the characters. And yeah, it mostly is shown by the fact that like Carnage is not really that much of like a bigger antagonist than the one that we've had in the last film.
Yeah, especially like the part to where Venom walks in and then he sees Carnage for the first time and he's like, shit, that's a red one. And he's like, but they don't elaborate. And like, okay, so what does that mean? It's like, what can the red one do? Because apparently he can launch projectiles, he can grow bigger when he eats people, and I guess he can do other things, but they're not specific on like what makes a red symbiote so dangerous.
And really, like, Carnage was hyped a lot, mainly because they showed a lot of his best scene, which was, during the prison break.
God,
And, like, they showed that off a lot, which, like, that was his best action scene. That was, like, pure Carnage, essentially, from
I wouldn't
comics.
say so, because, I mean, I do agree, like, him going nuts and everything, especially, like, that one guy who's like, I got a family, and just makes out with him to death.
Family is it?
No, he
family.
he stretched out his tongue into him. So not really. Like there's no Carnage lip action happening. It was just the tongue. So.
I think so. I think that's
symbiotes in their tongues. That's like their whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is odd because in the comics, like Venom was like really the only one that actually just had like a long tongue, but I think that's just to make him look creepy. And like no other symbiote has like the long tongue feature.
Well, I guess they wanted to make it consistent in this like trilogy of Venoms.
Now they want to be consistent. That's the only thing that they want to be consistent. Okay, I gotta.
Only consistent about the tongue. So.
Yeah, that's some admiration.
All the tongue action.
Yeah, that's exactly what they wanted. Is like Andy Serkis had like.
Well, they know
thing.
like their hentai people are the only ones. Their major audience. You need to.
Andy Serkis is in the writing rooms like, we have to appeal to the hentai lovers. There's a market out there. Like he like brings up like the red district in Japan, and they're like, oh yeah, got write that part in. More tentacles. But yeah, it's an odd. I mean, yeah, I do agree. Like him like going berserk. Is very characteristic for him, but if you notice, like almost everybody he kills is either off screen or you can't see it because he takes the
but like that's sort of like the thing with PG movie is even PG-13 movies. Venom did the same, of course, in the first one. Like,
the head getting bitten off.
And there's just a lot of saliva rather than blood.
Smoke. But yeah, it's like that is that's par for the course. But really, that's not what doesn't make Carnage a threat. Like Wolverine, all these characters that like brutally murder like a whole bunch of people, but even in a PG environment can still be threatening or dangerous people, even in said PG-13 environment. But like Carnage was more made less of a threat because there was really nothing that made him more dangerous than Riot. There's nothing that raised the stakes at all, and
Yeah,
if anything, the stakes were lowered.
Yeah, there was even like a part.
uh,
There was a part in the prison break scene, to where like a whole bunch of prisoners, they're free and they're cheering for Carnage because he killed the guards. And I'm thinking, it's like, well, great, you're exposed. Like, he's just gonna kill you because that's his pastime. He's just gonna do it for fun. But he just leaves. It's just like if that was like really Carnage, like based off the comics, he just murder people for no reason, just because it's just fun to him. And like, if he just sees a crowd of people, he'll just do it. And the fact that they didn't establish that, I think is like what you're talking about. Like, it makes him softer and kind of like almost as equal as a threat to Riot, when his objective was just to get into space.
yeah, Riot also, like, the whole thing with him and his whole objective is that, like, the big point with his host was like achieving symbiosis and that whole deal. Finally achieving symbiosis, finally doing this. Like he's got that checklist on that symbiosis there. Or stay consistent with the symbiotes that they were having in that one.
Oh yeah, I remember they were advertising that and people like, lost their minds.
They're like, what? That's
He's
not something symbiote.
Yeah, that's not how you say it.
How you say it, man? And yeah, somehow the first film villain has like symbiosis, but like Carnage does not. Which I would have thought they were hyping, because initially with the trailer of the movie they were using the song "One Is the Loneliest Number," which of course was was a metaphor for the fact that Venom was divided in this movie of this whole breakup dynamic, because again, this was essentially a romantic soap opera of a symbiote and his lover, a human being. And that is Venom's classic dynamic between him and Eddie. But Carnage was the one that was like all put together as one, and that was the threat. Like that would have really made like Carnage like this greater presence, but really he's not. Like,
yeah, because like in the comics, like the Carnage symbiote, when it's born basically inside his body. So the mindset of the symbiote is basically just a copy, like a carbon copy of Cletus Cassidy's consciousness, because it doesn't have time to grow. So that's what makes him so dangerous, because he's achieved 100% unity and symbiosis, while Eddie and Venom in the comics have separate mindsets because of their lives taking different directions and then meeting up together. But in the movie, they make it to where Carnage and Cletus Cassidy aren't symbiotic, and I think that really hurts the movie itself. I think they were just trying to find a way for Venom to beat Carnage all on their own.
Yeah, and like it also kind of screws up with their whole romance metaphor with Venom and Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
I like going like, okay, this couple is like on the brakes, so basically the only way for them to actually have a successful relationship, if using this metaphor correctly, is if like you kill the least successful one. That's going through this relationship is worse and more dysfunctional, therefore we're better. It doesn't really solidify your dynamic there. If anything, it would make Eddie and Venom's more dynamic more powerful if they were separating Carnage and Cletus, and they were perfectly bonded.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's what really reunites them there. But then, and like, all that happens, like, at the end of the film, Eddie's basically going, they're actually on a break. So let's kill them.
Get him.
Like that's how it works. It kind of creates like a kind of dysfunctional relationship message for this movie to be handing out to people.
But yeah, it has a weird like second act too, to where Venom and Eddie aren't paying attention to Cletus Cassidy breaking. I think Venom left before this, but like
yeah, Venom already left by the time the whole breakout hit the news. So
yeah, but like before that, like they get it to where Eddie like finds out that Cletus breaks out. They have pretty much like a lover spat. Like it's there's another movie review channel that brought this up, and they were saying like the way that it acts out, it's almost like a homosexual relationship, to where like they're getting mad at each other, and then like one of them leaves, and there's even a part where like Venom says, "I'm out of the Eddie closet," as he would, as if he would know that metaphor, and then he goes on and takes the mic of like this rave girl that's singing, and he says, "What's up with you guys discriminating against aliens? Don't do that." And like people are like cheering for him. And it's like, where is this going? Are they supposed to be gay? If so, why are they like treating each other like they're like fighting, almost like if like they're family members rather than lovers?
I mean, like the dynamic always changes depending on the writer with Venom and Eddie, depending on like what's most comedic for the story, really. Because Venom is this like goofy character, and like I think that's definitely the most fun element of this movie, and thankfully was kept in this movie. Like strengthened in a lot of ways, but like at the same time, like it's not given enough twists and turns to really surprise anyone. Sort of happens, like
very
break up, they get back together. It's like very much just sequel material, just to prolong the story of Venom and Eddie.
Well, that, and also like his motivation to get Venom back is just so he can use him to kill Carnage, and it's not really because he really misses him. And I think that falls in line
like
with what you're saying, with like bad relationship like examples. Because
they're kind of like I mean, it's very much a Venom fashion for them getting back together with like and playing telephone to Venom, just sort of like wanting Eddie to beg for him back. Which is fun as a joke, but like in terms of what ultimately has Eddie wanting Venom back, I think they definitely did need something more emotional. Maybe even when they got like when tossed themselves back to Eddie, and like they were off on their own before facing off against Carnage. That could work or something. But
because like in the comics they did that much better. It was like one of Venom's solo series, to where it actually explains that Eddie explains in like his inner monologue that the Venom suit, like the alien, actually has given him more in their relationship than any other like romantic relationship that he's had, like with a girl ever, because like
and the undertones there,
and like in the way they set it up, it's like to where he's addicted to the alien, but he also recognizes like that they can piss each other off sometimes, but like the reason why he like wants him back is because he's addicted to the power and all the feelings that he gives him. But in this movie, it's not there. It's like you said, it feels very rushed, to where it's like, oh, I need Venom back so we can go kill the bad guy.
Like it's a necessary sort of deal, which I think that they just want to end their film.
Isn't it funny when Venom's accidentally killing people because he can't bond with them? That's so silly. Isn't it funny to see Mrs. Chen with Venom eyes?
It's so quirky.
Yep. I guess Mrs. Chen like had no negative effect, because I guess like she had a better bond with Venom due to handing him taco like all the time, I guess.
That's so confusing that the movie set up, is because they established that specific people need to have like certain parts about them the symbiotes need specific people to bond with, and they have a trial and error experiment scene to where it shows the Life Foundation trying to find suitable host for the symbiotes. But then, like, later on in the movie, they just say, fuck it. The bad one bonds with the bad guy just because. And then Venom can just bond with anybody else. But in the second movie, he's, like, having trouble bonding with people to the point where he's accidentally killing them. But then it's like, oh, he could bond with Mrs. Chen. Oh, he could bond with Anne. Oh, he can bond with this dog.
Yep. The dog just has, like, a better connection to the symbiotes than anyone in the Life Foundation. They should have gotten all the dogs.
Oh,
know,
honestly,
right?
yeah, would have gotten better.
Yep. Full-on web of shadows up in here.
If you find out that the dog can eat chocolate and it doesn't get sick, it has a symbiote.
Oh god,
Yep.
sure sign.
That's how you can tell. That's how they hide.
Check its
Plain
stomach
sight.
for chocolate.
Yep.
Put on the hurts.
And like, yeah, I mean the dead people thing, like, you got an anti-hero movie, like that's like being shocked of Deadpool decapitating people, like, you know, it's gonna happen in your movie. Like, yeah, the problem with that more came from the inconsistency there, which I think they could have explained with, like, this Chen, like, the movie's like an hour and 30 minutes. Like, they had time for, like, these major details to really make this more of an emotional movie rather than just kind of fine, like a structure of the film going by piece. And, like, there are elements that are very visually impressive. Like, I'll say that. Like, it's probably the most visually impressive movie that Sony has made by themselves. I treat them like they're the children of these studios. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, oh boy, you built this all by yourself. You built a Venom movie.
Look at little Sony.
Here, have some Jello. You're a real movie studio now.
Like you just finally achieved like a 3-act structure that was not heavily edited to not make any sense.
Yeah, it's odd too, like with the motivations of like what Venom is doing and like his sense of morality, because there's like so when he's like traveling through people and like he like jokes about them dying because they can't handle him inside their body, and he just moves on to other people to the point where it's just making them sick. He says he wants to eat people, but then again he wants to protect the city, but then again it's I don't know, they're just,
I mean, I think like, yeah, they could have also made the distinction with Venom and his whole deal of like, you know, I want to protect the city, but I also want to eat. I mean, they also like said it's necessary for basic survival, so there's that whole.
Well, yeah, but like he says he wants to eat bad guys because Eddie told him that he can eat bad guys. That makes sense, right? That like was an anti-hero dynamic.
Yeah.
But in the beginning of the film, after the Cletus Cassidy prologue, he's in the police station, and
yeah, there's Mulligan again, the only police officer that Eddie ever interacts with.
No one else exists to him.
Who looks strikingly a lot like Donnie Wahlberg, but it's not Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh yeah.
It's
kind of weird. The cast is kept so minimal in this movie that like, yeah, like it's sort of like with Deadpool where he points out that Colossus and Negasonic King Warhead are the only X-Men members he ever interacts with, except this time it's like with the police.
Yeah.
But I think is you're the only police officer I ever interact with at the station, even though you hate me.
Yeah, but that's the part I was going to bring up. Is that like so like after Mulligan like kind of berates Eddie for like not being a good journalist or whatever, he's walking away. Then Venom
trying to
like,
eat him.
yeah, he's trying to bite his head off, and then Eddie grabs him, and then they have like that little tussle in the bathroom, and he's like, "We should be out there snacking on bad guys, protecting the city." And he's like, "Well, where's your moral standpoint there, buddy? You're just about to eat a cop." And Eddie said in the last movie, "Don't eat cops."
With that one, I think it was like out of impulse, like, you know, You just insulted my host. Only I can do that. I'm gonna eat your head off. Like he's a creature of impulse in a lot of ways, which yeah, that part is fine. I think the problem with that scene for me was they immediately forgot the second movie in that the whole Venom head on his shoulder in both the comics and supposedly here, that little Venom head on Eddie's shoulder is supposed to be in his head. Like that's not real. Like
Yeah.
like he's tussling and then literally pulling the strings of what is connected to his back.
Yeah.
Like
that,
it is real. Like
yeah, that dynamic is odd. Like the setup for that is like, how can he grab Venom when he's just goo, and then he can just slither his way in like any which way direction? I don't know.
realistically, like Venom should have been able to eat his head off. Really.
Yeah. He like Eddie should not have been able to just grab him unless like he, I don't know, like mentally commanded it or something. But
Like I said, the head is supposed to be in his imagination for that very reason. Like it's supposed to be a metaphor for their struggle there and their duality. Like yeah, they're literally making a physical head that he had to like physically wrestle with. Which is weird because like Andy Serkis perfected the whole like dynamic of the mental projection of someone's duality with Sneaker.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that whole dynamic.
you'd think he'd be smarter about that. It was so odd to see that in like my first viewing, because I watch it, I'm like, I can't believe that Andy Serkis directed this, especially when you have, like you were saying, like the two characters that interact with each other, that only they can talk to each other. It's so unbelievable.
I mean, thankfully they remember that when Venom actually interacts with the rest of the cast, in this case, Dan and Anne.
Dan,
it's
and
like...
I just realized how dumb a couple names.
The newest sitcom spinning off from Venom, Dan and Anne. Living with his pet dog, and that's sort of it.
Oh, I'd watch that. That'd be great.
Yep.
Only
on the streaming service that Sony doesn't have, because everyone else is spinning
Sony
off
Plus
streaming service except for Sony. Well, I haven't seen Spider-Man yet.
Maybe Hulu, maybe Netflix. We don't know yet. Sony has
Sort
weird
of in
feelings.
Flip a
between
coin,
those
see what
two
happens.
At this point.
Mhm.
Dan and Ann will find a place somewhere.
Oh, it's got to. Somewhere out there, there's a spot for Dan and Ann.
Which the worst part is with that title, you can't even tell that it is from Marvel. Or
It's like,
Venom in any
Marvel's
way.
Dan and Ann coming
Yeah,
soon.
they're purposely trying to be as discreet as possible in mentioning their relationship with Marvel when it says like in association with Marvel. Like they're trying
It's
to
like this is
break
Marvel.
that under the rug.
We're kind of associated with them.
Yeah,
Kind of, sort of.
kinda
It's
Marvel.
like they do the Marvel logo, but like they just put it like in the corner.
It's
of
really
the screen.
small, just like
See- yeah, you can see a big black screen and like a little thumbnail like in the bottom of like the right
Like
corner.
a watermark, like Marvel sponsoring your YouTube video. Like
Every once in a while, it
Oh
will
my
just
God.
move or like it will appear just because they're legally obligated to.
video sponsored by the Spider Menace.
Sponsored by the people who have Spider-Man.
for now.
Don't you guys have Spider-Man? Well, it's kind of complicated.
It's a long story.
We do and we don't. We decided to focus on these villains that way, Marvel can do our stuff better than us. That's the
All
whole
according
deal.
to plans. This is all it's gonna go from the
Yeah,
very beginning.
that's exactly how it was gonna go. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you didn't see this coming. We only want to focus on Spider-Man, specifically Spider-Man's villains, and make them
Yeah.
heroes.
Exactly. I mean, who wouldn't like that?
Yeah, like Venom already was for like years, but like I can't imagine them doing that with the rest of the foes that they've chosen,
Oh,
considering
crazy.
that it's
Yeah.
literally like each of their premises are just this like monster villain or like this this general like concept, but with Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but with Spider-Man. Vampire, but with Spider-Man. Thief, but with Spider-Man. Mercenary, but with Spider-Man.
It's like
typically the difference factor. Like,
yeah.
it's not them by themselves. Like,
I mean, some characters of Spider-Man, I can see them having their own movies because they have like their own solo series, like Morbius and Venom. But
I think those two are like the only stretch you could really take with it.
yeah, but
I guess I didn't consider the brief Morbius miniseries that they had at Marvel.
yeah, but I heard rumors that they wanted to do like a Black Cat movie. That they
they're
do...
uniting Silver Sable and Black Cat.
Yeah, Silver Sable. Who else? There was like they wanted to do like this.
Craven. He's being played by the same actor who played Quicksilver.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. Yeah.
What?
The man.
He's gonna get his own solo movie? Seriously?
Yep.
Oh my god. God damn it.
All about old Craven. Even though his whole plot is just that he hunts real good, but then he hears about a spider combined with a man, and then moves to New York to hunt him.
Yeah, there's some characters I feel that need Spider-Man. Like Venom is definitely one of those people, like those villains that need Spider-Man because Venom is supposed to be the dark reflection of Spider-Man. That's why he becomes the lethal protector later on after the villain thing's not working out. Yeah. Morbius, I can see happening on his own because he just so happens to be a villain for Spider-Man, but it's not of like any major importance that he needs to confront Spider-Man. It's just that he just happens to fight him. But like something with Craven takes a personal fascination in Spider-Man out of all the superheroes, out of all the Avengers of like X-Men. He takes a personal interest in Spider-Man. It's like, I cannot see Craven working by himself and actually being good.
Yeah, it's weird choice.
It's like if they tried taking Green Goblin and making his own solo movie Spider-Man-less.
Yep.
Which I would actually believe Sony would do, just because they can.
Yeah, they got the track record of that.
I mean, they were trying to do an Aunt May spinoff, so nothing's off.
Wait, seriously?
Yes.
That was one of their many ideas after Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Was
my god, who wants to see Sally Field? Who actually really wants to see Sally Field as Aunt May, just by herself?
I do. First in line, pre-order the tickets right away.
Yep, just get the tickets for the Aunt May spinoff.
Shut up and take my money.
I was kind of wondering what that even would be.
What?
I mean, they sort of baited around making it like a spy movie, but also frankly, my thought was that it was gonna be like that awful comic about like Parkers all cheating on each other that was like released a while back.
No.
I was thinking like the Aunt May show would be more like they were just recreating ER or trying to just do Grey's Anatomy all over again because she works in a hospital.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Just condense all of Grey's Anatomy down to like 2 hours.
Yeah,
pretty much. And then like maybe have something to where it, like references or like does like rips off a plot of ER or House or something like that.
And the only thing Spider-Man related is basically her saying, "Well, I think you'll find that my nephew does something pretty spectacular."
Some would say amazing.
Oh my god.
And then the movie ends.
Oh, so good. You gotta write Sony about this. They gotta make this.
No!
Revive the Aunt May spinoff.
Hey, Miss Pascal, I have an idea for you. I want you to bring back Sally Field.
You're gonna love it.
And maybe we can include George Clooney.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Get all the ER fans back.
Ah, God. That would be terrible. Please stop putting nightmares in my head.
But yeah, in summary, that was fine. Really. Like it's something that I would not rewatch if I wasn't doing this review.
You're
I
welcome.
did. It happened. I watched it. And like, yeah, the opinion the second time around is literally, yeah, just that.
Alright.
I think the thing with like Carnage is that the whole plot kind of doesn't feel like they've really earned that subtitle aside from like numbered titles are no longer the rage these days, so like kind of needed to. Plus,
What do
if
you
you're
mean?
gonna have Carnage in your movie,
Oh.
naming it Venom 2, like that whole deal.
Oh, okay. Because you're
If
saying
you're
like,
gonna have Carnage in your movie, you gotta name it after his most infamous story. So aside from Maximum Carnage, I guess.
yeah,
That.
yeah. I don't think they would be able to get away with Maximum Carnage.
No.
because, like, that might.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
film did not really earn the maximum
No.
quality, let alone
It's like
the
minimum
Let
Carnage.
There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Especially if you're not gonna actually have the second meaning of the word carnage. But
Yeah,
if they went with Maximum Carnage, I think people would get the wrong idea. So I think that was kind of smart. Even though the name Let There Be Carnage is dumb as fuck. I think it is smarter to have that other than Maximum Carnage, to where like kids are gonna get scared that like people like Venom's actually gonna like rip people's heads off and like, I don't know, like spill their intestines everywhere.
Oh, like King Shark style, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I guess
pretty
it
much.
would seem like very much.
Which is ironic because
Related
kids,
title.
like, I kid you not, like, they're like elementary school kids that I've run into, and they love King Shark. I'm like, what are you talking about? You should be watching that movie. and then they start quoting him, and it's like me love books so much. He very smart. New dumb friends.
James Gunn just like has now become like a family director, and now he can no longer do R-rated projects. He's influenced the youth forever. Now Peacemaker will do so as well. I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, for kids too, especially when they're
yeah.
like fully nude.
yeah. Fun for the
kids.
family.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you know, but when Venom is the only role model left. He's teaching you to eat.
Ah,
Yeah, make the scary
Uh,
monster the perfect role model for kids.
yeah, kids will love it.
I mean, apparently he was in China.
Oh, yeah.
Their whole
really.
marketing around
That's-
the
yeah,
first
that's where they got their
one
money, man.
Mhm.
is that Venom was the helpful boyfriend. You know, his objective is to help that Eddie. Like, China got it.
Yeah,
China
they
got the
understand.
romantic undertone.
They know what's
undertones
going
of
on
the
here.
old guy.
Oh yeah, definitely, because they came to respect it for what it was and the messages that it sent, and they said, maybe this isn't so bad. So they decided to change their ways, and they didn't cancel the movie. They
Boom.
allowed it.
Oh,
to
they canceled this one though.
Oh wait, what?
I was talking about the first one, but yeah, like they totally canceled the sequel.
Yeah, I
no.
was being completely sarcastic.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I did not know we were on the same page there.
Yeah, like I was saying, I can completely see like how they would be fine with the first one, but yeah, the second one, I'm like, yeah, I don't see that getting past Chinese censorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. For one thing, you can't really continue the helpful boyfriend method there when like halfway through this thing, Venom breaks up with Eddie and
Hmm.
That's not very helpful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
yeah, being an unsupportive boyfriend.
I will say that was something that actually did surprise me in the first one, was that you have, because usually in superhero movies, like the ex-boyfriend or like the boyfriend of like the love interest is usually a dick, but in the first Venom, he actually takes care of Eddie when he like displays that he is like going nuts in a fancy restaurant. And I actually kind of like that because he's a doctor, and like even though he's a doctor, it doesn't mean it doesn't guarantee he won't be a dick boyfriend. But the fact that he actually takes him to the hospital, he gives him an MRI. Is it an MRI or is it a CAT scan?
It was an MRI.
Okay. Yeah, but he takes an X-ray to see what's going on with him, and he actually takes care of Eddie. And I was actually surprised that they did that because
with that whole situation there, and I'm kind of used to it because like I've lived in the old Sony era and also Superman Returns, literally like all the movies with like this very angry like current boyfriend of like the previous love interest, which inevitably, because this guy's so vile, you wonder if how this woman even got with this dude in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, then like she inevitably breaks up with him typically. Cough cough cough, Mary Jane, and James.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't a dick move to just run out on her wedding to tell another guy that she grew up with that she loves him.
Oh.
It's perfectly acceptable.
In the Sony universe, it is, yeah. But this time that they finally lived in the real world, they went outside and realized that relationships after breakups can actually be successful. You don't just run back to the person that you were previously with.
Well, don't speak too soon, because what's her name? Anne said that. Oh, I'm never doing that again. Except, maybe I don't know. It was kind of fun when she was possessed by Venom.
Yeah, but let's see, the whole she-Venom thing that they're really into doing, because, I don't know, it gets them the clicks, whenever she appears with the symbiote on. Yeah, I find it odd, though, that, like, this time around, compared to the last one, like, Anne was the only one that had a distinctive symbiote look. Like, everyone else was just Venom as per normal Tom Hardy body.
Yeah, that's right, because, like, the biker that Venom gets on it is a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, like, she just looks like regular Venom again. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. No, I'm thinking of something else, because he just flips off Eddie. No, it was,
Oh, the party.
It was later in the party.
Yeah.
There's one he possessed there, and, like, yeah, it was just a full Tom Hardy body again. Like,
yeah. So it was odd.
It was kind of strange. I mean, I think they were mainly doing that because, like, Anne was she-Venom in the comics, and also committed suicide because of that. Yeah, that was like the whole deal with Anne, which is why, like, yeah, by comparison, this is a much better version of Anne, because, like, yeah, she's not just a prop for Eddie to be sad for a second.
And also, this could be, I noticed something. I could be just imagining things, but this also could could be because I'm a pervert. But was it me, or did they like decrease the boob size of she-Venom in the second movie?
I think she was literally on screen for like 1 second, so like unless you're going like frame by frame, like a true perv. Not sure if you'd be able to like figure that out.
I kind of was through the movie. I mean, not specifically for this reason, because I was looking like more into like the background and like looking at like the mouth flaps to see if they were actually staying consistent.
I mean,
then I noticed,
if I'm doing the review, I might as well slow down the footage and then
wait a minute. I am trying to be professional here, so it is only logical for me to analyze this even further.
Yes, it's very logical.
0 out of 10, no boobs. Get them out of here.
Yep, gotta get rid of them.
But
like that was kind of like in there. Like yeah, we didn't really see her. Like it was like from the top up like too. I think she was actually taller than she was before. But then again, we only saw her like 1 second both times.
Well, yeah, but it's also weird too because like I'm actually looking at a picture of it right now, but like when she picks up Eddie in the first movie, she's a tad taller, and then when he becomes Venom, he's like much taller, and that was like the same thing for the woman that he possessed in the Rave Club. But I don't know what they're doing.
It's like, I mean, I think that could have also been an opportunity to like play with some cool Venom designs. I mean, I get that they're only on screen for like 1 second each, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It would have been interesting. Like a nice creative treat. After all, like you don't really have that much else in the movie, really.
Yeah,
I'm saying that to like blackmail them of like, you know, hey, have more content in your movie, or else splurge your special effects budget on nothing.
I mean, they have to animate it anyway, so why not, like you said, put in like a new design for the people that he takes over?
Plus, it'd be more believable with the whole like classic superhero trope of going into a Halloween party and then the whole like, hey, cool costume. It's not actually a costume, but it's actually like this big giant organic being. But what do I know?
Yeah,
probably all drunk.
It seems so odd that they're accepting of this 10-foot black monster with teeth protruding out of his face, even though like it's like I'm pretty sure it was like a Day of the Dead celebration, wasn't it?
It was Day of the Dead, which like who is bringing their ultra hentai like technological marvel to Day of the Dead?
Who's bringing the Japanese anime monster to a Day of the Dead rave?
Yeah, that is
cool costume. Is like, great. What inspired it? I don't know.
It's something I saw on the internet.
Yeah.
Nope. I mean, I believe his answer was, of course, the whole double meaning going. I made it myself. and yeah, with that whole deal, which is technically true because he did. Is himself. Like that is Venom. I mean, it's a big moment of like independence for him, which is cool, I guess. If like was for this like large portion of the movie where they were apart, which I mean, at least they weren't doing it in the opposite way of like Eddie being completely useless at like completely everything without Venom. Like did actually do some like reporting afterwards. It wasn't just like, okay, I'll just be waiting on in my house with my chickens until Venom goes home. Because then it really would have just felt like an abusive relationship. So that they did depend on each other at least.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, it seems odd because like even like in the beginning, like it seemed like Venom was doing like most of the work, even like for journalism, more than Eddie was.
Yeah, like I think like he should have caught on at least a little bit in the first part. In fact, that would have made it more meaningful. Mm-hmm. It was like he was like helping out with the reporting side, and Venom was doing like the superhuman recall stuff with Carnage's room, and their combined forces is what saved the day. But then Eddie takes the credit because guy's big break, and also you can't mention Venom in the news, so that part, and that's what creates the misunderstanding.
So it just seems odd that if they're trying to make it to where they're both strong characters, it seems like they're kind of doing it poorly because it almost seems like Eddie's kind of a freeloader and just letting Venom do everything, and then just
Eddie's the true parasite.
because he kind of just puts up with Venom's behavior because he kind of acts just like a kid, like a spoiled kid. Whenever he's like talking about he wants to eat bad guys and he wants to just like jump around and do whatever, and then Eddie's just like putting up with it, like he doesn't really care or just doesn't want to deal with it, and then he just lets Venom do all the work.
Which I mean, I get kind of the whole deal of like, hey, he's getting used to it. Mm-hmm. Plus, if Tom Hardy doesn't stay subdued for very long. He switches accents, and that's a different kind of symbiote altogether. His natural accent.
Yeah, there were definitely parts where like that was like peaking. It's hard. It was like to stay focused in it, especially when he keeps saying "and." He's like "and."
Wait, did you suddenly get possessed by the old governor symbiote?
Starts talking like he's back in Peaky Blinders. Would you like some of the white bread or the brown bread? Venom, let's go eat bad guys.
That's you, Eddie.
That's not really sensical, is it now, Venom?
It's not proper to eat people.
You got to eat the chickens.
And the chocolate.
Would you like some chocolate?
Well, at that point, you're going full Forrest Gump, but yeah.
Would you like some chocolate, Venom? Mama always said life was like a box of symbiotes.
Yep. And like, yeah, at the most hilarious part about this movie is above it all with like the whole ending of like, you know, the cliche whole like I got your girlfriend in this church, and you know I gotta save you, and with Dan and Ann, the new hit sitcom helping them out, and you know a pretty cool climax for the movie and all that. After it's all finished and you know Venom finally gets his brains, Eddie finally gets his closure with a character he's barely known. After it's all over and like Venom now has to leave because you know he's still a fugitive. In the end, it ultimately doesn't matter because they're all going over to the more interesting Marvel universe. Literally, that plot set up with Mulligan potentially being Toxin or whatever. Like, it ultimately just doesn't matter at all.
That confused the hell out of me. So, I know he's supposed to be Toxin in the comics, and for the listeners who don't know who Toxin is, it's basically like Venom's grandson, which is a combination of him and Carnage, and he's supposed to be much more powerful, but he doesn't like to. He's not really as chaotic as Venom and Carnage is. They actually want to be like a superhero, so he's kind of like another Spider-Man. But the point is that it confused the hell out of me of like, was he supposed to be Toxin, or did he like get Shriek's powers? Because like if you look at his eyes, they're not like fully like the milky white like Venom's and Carnage's is. It's like his eyes, like the irises, are glowing.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
more
like,
of that sort of vibe, which might be like a manifestation, like slowly overtaking him. But who knows?
And if that's the case, then like, if he's supposed to become Toxin, is like, what part implies like what part of Carnage contacting him like breaks off to make him into the symbiote? Because is it just because he touched him? If that's the case, then why aren't all the people that were touched by symbiotes spawning new ones in their bodies?
Yep. We should have like a full-on like Web of Shadows situation by now.
I know, exactly, right? Like to where like there's like little like egg pods that are like growing out of buildings, spawning new aliens to just grab people and turn them into zombies or just more Venoms.
Indeed. Like really that would be like a full-on symbiote invasion plot probably is what is needed in this series to actually like take it up a notch.
Well,
I guess it is like if you just got your standard like inside a church climax again, like you know you're not really elevating anything. Like,
well, yeah, because if they go with that direction and for like the third film, then they're not really doing anything new with the character Venom, because it's just like a 3 straight in a row confrontation of villains that are the same as Venom.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, true. There's that one too, but he doesn't really have like a diverse rogues gallery. That's the trouble compared to Spider-Man himself.
True.
it's odd that they would if that's the direction that they are going, and they have the rights to certain Spider-Man characters. It's like, why not just incorporate other Spider-Man villains to where Venom has to fight them, because they've been doing that like with other villains in the MCU, where like some of the heroes fight other people's supervillains.
They were much more creative about that, but like in this one, like it's just Venom going down and mauling his family tree.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
Wait, uncle.
But yeah, that would just be a very bad choice, I would think. And like in the Morbius trailer, like the latest one, they mentioned that for some reason he knows who Venom is, even though they've been trying their best to keep a low profile. And
Yeah.
I don't think that they would just classify a big black gooey alien monster as Venom.
Like, oh, that guy, of course his name is Venom, obviously.
Yeah, of
I
course.
mean, this is the same have just like consistently have the general public come up with Spider-Man like all the time as a name for him.
So I don't know what they're gonna do. They're probably, if that's the case, they're probably just gonna go in the direction to where Venom comes to fight Morbius, which I would think would be more interesting of a Venom movie to do, to where Morbius is the antagonist, or vice versa, or they do like a Batman versus Superman thing but better. But if not, all I can expect.
Awful alien versus the literal bat.
Yeah.
Yes.
That I'm
won't be settled on that one.
Yeah. I'm actually expecting like something stupid for Morbius, to where like the main villain turns out to be James Jameson the Third, so he becomes Man-Wolf, so it's just a vampire versus werewolves. Even.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I could definitely see a werewolf film.
Yeah.
It's ironic because we have a Moon Knight show, and that literally started with werewolves.
Yeah, werewolf by night. Yeah.
Everything like has one consistent spin-off base, and it's either werewolves or Spider-Man.
True.
Yeah, it's odd too, because they hired Ethan Hawke for the main villain of Moon Knight, and even he looks like a werewolf. I don't know if it's like his teeth, because he has some like weird canines, but like his face to me actually looks reminiscent of like a wolf, and he looks like a hairy guy in the show. So I don't know what they're gonna do with that, but I'm just calling it now. He's a werewolf.
Like, yeah, in terms of, I think my overall review of Venom, Let There Be Carnage. With this whole deal with the whole film, I would give it ultimately a 5 out of 10 potatoes.
5 tater tots.
5 tater tots.
5 tater tots, yeah. That's
Wow.
tater tots for Venom. Just half of the tater tots, half not the tater tots. Please
Sorry,
balance.
he didn't earn these ones.
Yep. It was a fine movie. It was like middle of the road there.
Mm-hmm. Was there
anyway.
Is there anything else you would like to say about the movie? Any thing that's like struck your mind that you were looking to get out?
Good.
Any favorite parts?
Let's say my absolute favorite bit of this thing would probably again have to be the Carnage escape ape sequence. Definitely was hyped for that one. And yeah, it's definitely like the best part of this thing. In terms of like its overall action beats.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the at the end of the movie when they actually use sound like Carnage in a way, where Venom slides down after finally they realize the rules of the symbiotes, and Venom leaves Eddie due to the sound, but then drops down through Ann and Ann, the best spin-off crew you could have, and then drops down to Eddie before he makes his fall. That was a pretty cool set piece there.
Yeah, when like Venom is separated and he like travels through Dan and Ann and just to catch Eddie, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that scene was pretty cool. Frankly, lots of teamwork there. It just goes to show that you can combine CGI with the actual live actors without just the symbiotes retreating back into the actors and then they have like a fist fight for a few seconds. Which I don't know, I get the necessary evil of it. Like, you can't just have it be CGI 100% like all the time. Because then it just becomes the Lion King, and you don't even know why you even have it in live action at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, live action, quote unquote.
Real
Quote,
lions,
unquote.
yes, well trained.
We train them to have all these very special family bonds and such.
We taught him to speak.
He taught him to speak. James Earl Jones is on set with one of them for a couple of hours.
Oh, yeah, teaching him impression of himself. Yeah, impressive.
Yeah.
No, we just put James Earl Jones in a lion suit and just made him speak his lines.
Yeah, it was so lifelike.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I'd say that would sum it up for me.
Okay.
Sure. It's just like a fine superhero movie to, pass the time and teach people about the dangers of decapitation and working things out in a relationship.
There we go.
I'm guessing that was the message anyway.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was totally.
Well, good to see. We got 7 and 8, not 8, 7 and 5 tater tots. So
8 was my last review.
Yeah. So
Shang-Chi. Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you for sharing your opinion. Not as optimistic as Christopher, but we do need diversity on this podcast. And that is the only form that's going to come in. So, with that being said, well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm a little pissed off. Really am. Because after going through this, I had pretty much the opposite effect on what Christopher had his viewing experience. When I went to go see this movie the first time, I really did not like this movie to the point to where my brother and my friend and I went to the liquor store that was like literally right next to the movie theater we went to see it at, and right before they closed we got like a few bottles and I almost ended up drinking myself to death. I kid you not. I didn't think I drank that much, but I woke up and my stomach was torn up from the inside, and then I woke up again like in the middle of the night, like at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like profusely bleeding out of my nose, just so I could distract myself from what I just watched. But the funny thing, the reason why I bring that up is because besides the thought of me being in pain for comedic sake, is that the liquor store that we went to, we went over and they asked us, like, what movie did you guys watch? And it's like, we watched Venom 2. And it's like, oh, wow, you guys are like the third like set of people to walk in here.
I feel like Eddie Brock after seeing this movie.
Yeah, really. Oh my goodness.
It was funny. It was so funny. It was like
oh, that's so weird.
because like the guy, he was like, no, it was the woman. Like there were two people running. I think they were married, and like the woman's like, oh, what movies did you guys see? He's like, we saw Venom 2, and then I think it was, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the husband. He came in and he's like, "Oh, you guys were at the movies?" I said, "Yeah." "Was it Venom?" I was like, "Yeah." So,
Okay, come with me.
yeah.
We'll
Okay.
show you. We'll show you where the good stuff is.
Yeah, come here in the back. We're gonna turn off the cameras, but you were never here, okay? But yeah, it was so funny, just having that little interaction with that. But yeah, after rewatching this movie, I took down a lot of notes on what I thought was either dumb, stupid, or poorly written. And because I am now getting into the more of a mindset of a writer, there's a lot of things that are going to stick out to me when it comes to the form of storytelling. And oh my god, I've got like a huge list of like flaws that I have about this movie. They're largely nitpicks, mind you, but there are like certain elements in there to where I've already mentioned it before with Christopher's and Victor's point of view on the movie. So I'm going to try my best to remain not be as repetitive when I go into my review. So the thing about it is, it's just as professional as I try to be when it comes to critiquing movies or criticizing movies, is I want to have an objective opinion on it. And usually this comes from, as I mentioned before, a writer's perspective. However, that doesn't mean that I am not opposed to rating something on an emotional point of view, but I try to keep that to a minimum. That being said, I am a huge Spider-Man, and not as huge for Venom, but it is pretty big. I did like Venom growing up when I learned more about him. So to watch these movies and see how they portray these characters, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. It feels like they completely, I mean, they have, for the sake of trying to distance themselves from Spider-Man, but how they completely bastardized the characters of Eddie Brock and Venom. Now, that doesn't mean I completely hate the idea of the dynamic that these two have in their relationship of the movies, to where they have like the lover spat dynamic in their relationship. I think that would work fine in any other movie if they didn't call it Venom. Because it's like going to see, like, I make this comparison like with my mom all the time, just so she can understand why I get angry at comic book movies, like the child that I am. But I have to go up to her and like say okay, imagine like going to see Harry Potter, and like they say, oh, we're gonna make a Severus Snape movie, but it's not gonna be tied to Harry Potter whatsoever, and they completely bastardize the character to where like he's mean, I don't know, like for like no reason, like he has like no grimace against anyone, no like grudges or anything, he's just a dick or something like that. So it like somewhat so it has some familiarity with the original concept of the source material, but they have to change it because they said like, well, I don't know, like we can't be associated with Harry Potter because Harry Potter in this hypothetical situation is owned by Warner Brothers, and maybe, I don't know, like Summit, is that the company that does the Twilight movies? Summit?
I don't know.
Okay, let's just say like Summit had the rights to Severus Snape, or like parts of Harry Potter, and they wanted to make a Severus Snape movie, and they completely changed the character. It's like, how annoying would that be for Harry Potter fans all over the world to see that they want to make a Severus Snape movie that's obviously based off the characters of Harry Potter, but they can't associate with them because of rights. Now, I understand how business works, but that doesn't make it any less scummy to me. And maybe I'm not alone in that perspective. So it's really hard for me to view these movies without having to resort to that mindset of legal rights and the morality choices, the moral choices that Sony makes with Marvel. Not to say that Marvel's a morally great company either. But the fact that they insist on making movies that are, like Victor said, Spider-Man-less, that are heavily tied to Spider-Man. So watching these movies, it's very infuriating for me to watch, especially for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. The first one, I was overall fine with. I mean, I was still bothered by the idea that they were going that direction of making a Venom movie without Spider-Man, which is funny because I was at work the other day and I heard I was listening to a YouTube video talking about a Venom movie that was canceled in its production that was going to be a solo Venom movie, and some beats of it were actually reminiscent to what you see in the first movie. But it was going to be completely Spider-Man-less, and they was going to try to just branch off into its own thing. Now I can, as I mentioned, I can understand that to a point from a business perspective. Doesn't mean I like it. So after seeing the first movie, I felt that it was painfully mediocre. I did find the dynamic between Eddie Brock and Venom interesting because it wasn't like one that I've seen in the comic books, to where Venom is a bit more conscious and he has a bit more to say, and it actually shows a bit more of his thought process compared to the comic books that I read. Maybe there's something like that elsewhere, but I thought it was fine. As I mentioned, it's painfully mediocre, and I guess I just have to live with the idea of them having a solo Venom movie that's not going to be connected to Spider-Man. Or so I thought. Because in the end of the movie, in its post-credit scene, they tie it to the MCU, to where it's going to meet Tom Holland's Spider-Man. What is the point? Yeah. What is the point of trying to make a solo Venom movie that has no relation to Spider-Man whatsoever, just so you can just throw him in there and just try to have the relationship that's in the comics? It's like, it's all dependent, because Venom's relationship is dependent on Eddie Brock and the alien both hating Peter Parker and Spider-Man. That's what helps their bond strong. It's what keeps them in symbiosis. And the fact that they don't have that dynamic, they don't have that motivation in there whatsoever, it's what's the point of adding that in there? It's at this point, when they throw in Venom to go and contact Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man versus some guy with an alien that is a shapeshifter. There's nothing special to it. You just completely ruin the magic and the work that's put into the character that's supposed to be a big part of Spider-Man's life.
Well, now it's just the battle of the Toms.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy versus Tom Holland. But yeah, I think, like I said before, I think the main influence there is the Ultimate Comics, where Venom meets Spider-Man later, and then got the symbiote for Spider-Man sort of deal.
Well, that's not entirely true, because in Ultimate Spider-Man, Spider-Man and Eddie Brock are best friends in this universe. And
yeah, that was the difference there too, though. They had a dynamic beforehand, but the symbiote was not a part of Spider-Man before Venom.
No, actually it was, because their parents used to work together, specifically their dads, Eddie Brock Sr. and Richard Parker. They used to work together, and they both created the Venom suit that was supposed to be a means as a cure for cancer, by creating an organism that would target bad cancer cells, and then it would be making the host healthy. It wasn't complete, and it was bought out by a different company, and it was put on ice for a while. And then Spider-Man goes to investigate in that a little bit further, and he gets the black suit. And when he realizes it's bad, he he separates from the suit, and he puts it in a jar. He tells Eddie Brock who he is, and that he broke into the facility that was holding the Venom suit, and he was going to dispose of it, which he does. That being said, Eddie Brock knew of the other project because there's like multiple forms of like the Venom suit. He finds another vial to where that is another Venom suit, and then he has powers that are given to him by this organism that doesn't have Spider-Man's powers yet. So
that was the whole thing there. That's what I'm saying. Like he initially did not have Spider-Man's powers, at least in the Ultimate Comics.
Yeah, so he didn't get Spider-Man's powers
later.
till later. Yeah, but the fact is that there's still a relationship between Spider-Man, Venom, and Eddie Brock, even
Between
in that
Eddie and
universe.
Spider-Man, but yeah, not with Venom. per
Yeah.
se.
Because Eddie hates Spider-Man. I mean, it's probably like a weak in its motivation, but the fact remains that there is still the relationship between Spider-Man and Eddie Brock, which forms later into Venom. So it makes no sense to me. I mean, it makes sense as to why Sony would want to do that, because they just want to get as much money as they can from Spider-Man fans. But it makes no sense to me why they would want to make their own Venom that is not related to Spider-Man just to relate him to Spider-Man later. No sense. So now it's on to the review. Sorry about that little rant, but I feel that's as dramatic as it was. I feel it's important to establish if you're getting into Marvel, which you might now be out of Marvel after hearing me be childish about it.
I think there's also the whole start that they've done with Tom Holland's Spidey, and like a lot of his elements are, of course, needed to be ones as like teenage years, rather than the skin tight cat suits and the hentai monsters. Like, think about how weird that would be if it was started traditionally, like with Eddie and Venom, and already right now, he literally starts like looking at Eddie on the screen by licking his face.
Yeah, that it's
this,
so weird.
this teenager.
I mean, like the excuse that they're trying to get away with is that the symbiotes have a hive mind, so I guess it stretches out the multiverse. Fine, but when did
Basically, he learns about Topher Grace Venom.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then he should be doing that to Tobey Maguire, not Tom Holland.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he saw I don't know if they saw the Daily Bugle was on the hunt for Spider-Man, but then they see Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, he's like, oh, that's not Spider-Man, that's just some guy, and he sees the TV, and then he's like, oh, that guy, I know that guy, and it's left up to interpretation of how he knows that guy, but no symbiote, as far as we know, has come into contact or seen Tom Holland's Spider-Man. So it makes no sense as to why he just takes interest into a guy he sees on the television.
He's wearing the Spider-Man suit.
I want to eat that boy in that costume. Yes.
And lick him.
I'm gonna. Wait, let me get the Venom voice.
Eddie, I'm going to find that boy, and I'm going to lick him.
No, how about we not lick people?
No! Eddie, I need this. Please. Let me lick that boy.
I thought you were into me and my weird, New Yorker thing that sometimes turns British,
I need the sweat from his costume. It looks tasty. I like the black and red. It reminds me of us, Eddie, when we fought Cletus Cassidy. Don't you remember us?
Got some weird issues, man. Like me and Anne.
Anne and Dan.
Yeah, the sitcom couple that I want to join now. Get away from your way.
Okay. The point that I was trying to make that took way longer than it should have, is that it's hard for me to look at, or watch these movies without that perspective in mind, that Venom meets Spider-Man. So watching these characters become bastardized is a hard watch for me. It's especially hard when Carnage turns out to be one of my favorite villains in Marvel, and I feel like they really just they didn't know how to use him properly, because with like all this stuff with like Venom, besides like the rave part, it felt like to me like they knew what kind of direction they wanted to go with their relationship.
Fun direction of Venom.
Yeah, because they wanted to have that goofy element to where they're fighting each other and they don't get along, and then later they have to learn to get along. That, for the most part, felt consistent. But when it came to Cletus Cassidy, Venom, and Shriek, it's like, where is this going? I just don't understand how they're trying to make him seem intimidating, how they're trying to make him seem cool, how especially sympathetic. That really bothered me. It's like so he goes to mention, like in his little letter that he writes to Eddie Brock, is that he killed his mom and his grandma, and that his dad beat him. And then later he says like, you didn't mention the full story, Eddie. You didn't mention that my daddy and my mommy and my grandmammy, they all beat me. That's why I killed them. But the
I don't know why, but like Sony's really into making Cletus Cassidy like the sympathetic character for some reason. Like,
well,
I don't know why. Like,
yeah, and the worst part that debunks that part is that, okay, so in the comic books he does do that to where he kills his mom and he pushes his grandma down the stairs, and he takes a power drill to the head of his puppy and tortures him to death. And it
we
shows
also see implied in this movie as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Like,
in the little Tim Burton drawings where it shows him being like an evil little hellspawn, he pushes his grandma down the stairs. He throws a hair dryer into his mom's bath, and then right after, he's holding the puppy, and he's got like this huge grin on his face, about to take the power drill to the puppy's head. And it's like, and that implied to me, like after it shows like his dad beating him up, is like, to me it seemed like he beat him up because he murdered his family and the puppy. It's like, well, which is it? Are you gonna have him be like a relentless serial killer, especially the fact that he murdered an entire family that he's telling Eddie to go and look and dig up? Or are you trying to make him a sympathetic character, and to where he murdered his family by defending himself? They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and it's fucking frustrating to watch because of his actions that he's already the actions he's already taken onto his puppy, and also to the other people that he's killed, to where he buries them all serial killer like fashion. It makes no sense to me. It's like, what was going on in the writing room? It's like, did they not catch that?
It actually reminds me again of the worst year of Spider-Man, 2014.
Oh God.
Because that year, not only did we have the Amazing Spider-Man 2, we also had a tie-in video game for the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah, which in that game, we of course had Carnage, because, I don't know, we didn't even have Venom yet, so might as well.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it was so odd, because like one of like the villains that pops out of nowhere for you to fight is Carnage, but they never make any implication whatsoever that they capture an alien, or they create. It just seems like they just created basically what was made in Ultimate Spider-Man, to where it's like an organism that just turns them into Carnage.
But yeah, in a lab somewhere. But yeah, in that game, he was the sympathetic serial killer as well. Just again, like it seems like this had this common pattern with Carnage.
I know, it's
where he
odd.
killed Uncle Ben's killer, and then they're trying to make it seem like he's a heroic figure in New York, and that like there's somehow a moral debate between him and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
His serial killerness.
Yeah, and like like the way they present it to where he's like, he killed Uncle Ben's killer is like, but he's also murdering innocent people too. It's like, it's kind of like a Dexter thing to where it's like, he's not killing for like the good of people. He's doing it because he wants to. I mean, he just so happens to kill bad people, but it's not coming from a place to where he is looking to do good. It's more of just to scratch an itch.
And it's a very weird motive. Like, that's not a way to make your villains complex just by suddenly making serial killers seem good.
Yeah.
That's a really strange message to be handing out there.
And the fact that they also use the words serial killer, infamous serial killer, meaning he goes to murder people.
Like, they kind of like, it's like, what would they really expect for the audience to think it's like a cute pet name we give to like certain types of killers?
Yeah,
because
it's like killing people. It's cute.
It would have been different if they used, like in the news articles, vigilante or serial killer, because that gives the audience like, oh, maybe he is actually trying to do the right thing, or maybe there's something more to it. But they use the word, the title, serial killer, and they're trying
every single time.
Yeah, it's never vigilante. It's always serial killer.
For both the version in like in the movie and in the tie-in video game, like they both use serial killer, even when the public is like considering him a vigilante for some weird reason. Like,
that, and they also do like the same thing, or not the same thing, but it's something similar with Shriek. So in the end of the movie, to where there's like the main fight scene, Venom and Carnage are fighting each other, and then Dan's trying to help Venom get Anne back, and Shriek is going off doing her own thing, trying to kill Detective Mulligan because he defended himself and almost killed her. That's also another topic too. That was so dumb. So remember when we were talking about like the boob thing where I was like overanalyzing it?
Yes.
Okay, so I was actually doing that with the scene to where Detective Mulligan, before he's a detective, is transporting this super-powered being with no restraints whatsoever, being transferred to a facility to where they treat super-powered people. No restraint whatsoever.
I kind of wondered, like, what were they even expecting with that one? At least upon the second rewatch. Like, I was like, okay, yeah, they're just transporting her without any restraint for the first time around. So I was like, I was going for it.
What a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, the second time I was around, wait a minute, what the hell are they doing?
She says that the doctors are purposely transporting her because her mutation is getting worse. So she has to go away. Did they not tell the guards that are transporting her that she has superpowers to where it can kill them? But one of the worst parts about this is that she attacks him, and she's trying to make her get away, and he pulls his gun out, and he shoots, and he fires. It doesn't hit her. It misses her head completely. And this is the part I was overanalyzing, because like, he tries to shoot her in the head, but she moves his hand to where it fires almost like next to her ear. It doesn't even like cut one of her dreadlocks. It completely misses. But she has a scar on her eye to where it changed the color of her eye because it implies that she got hit by the bullet. But that never went anywhere. It didn't even show like shards coming off of like where the bullet went in the truck. So it's like, what made her eye change? It's also purple. It's not like a milky white to where like you can't use the eye anymore. It's a purple eye that she has from a damage from a bullet. Anyway,
I just want to give her like a distinctive look. I'm guessing like again reference to the comic.
Well, yeah,
because that's sort of it.
Yeah, Shriek she has like that domino look to where like one part of her face looks different from the rest of her body. I get it, but there are so many better ways that she could do that. Like maybe like that's a result of her mutation, or I don't know, like there's an explosion that goes off to try to take Shriek to like the Life Foundation or something, or like the Life Foundation versus Ravencroft is trying to get her, and then there's the conflict to where like they're fighting each other, and there's an explosion that like gets her eye. Boom, done. Right? Her eye's damaged from an explosion. That's all you had to do. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to get across is that she's trying to kill Mulligan because he tried to kill her, and she's torturing him to death, to where like she's hanging him up through a chain on his neck. She's trying to poke his eye out and everything, and then
It's
when
really like she's saying like an eye for an eye in that scene.
Exactly.
And it's like,
It's more than an eye.
she
Really.
already got rid of like his hearing. Like what the hell? There's not really an eye for an eye. That already happened.
yeah, so she
That isn't
is
evened out on your senses here.
yeah, and she is being overly brutal, like to the point to where you could like call a brutality in Mortal Kombat, because she's just going all out on him. And then later, Carnage picks up Anne, and he says, "Oh my god." Okay, so he says, "I'm gonna kill her and make you watch." And what does he do? He picks her up and leaves. So as she, Carnage is taking Anne up to the tower of the church. She says, "Baby, no, this is too much." Like, what are you talking about? You guys are fucking psychos. It's like, how is this too
They're all
much?
streamer villains.
Like, what about this is too much? You just, like, tortured a police officer that was just doing his job. And she's saying this is too much. Like, what the actual fuck?
And it was also kind of irrelevant because Shriek doesn't do anything against Carnage. Like,
Yeah.
even with Venom's whole move of like, oh, sound. Then like he throws her off the bell tower. Like that was all Venom. Like he was doing that, and then Shriek screamed out of like being thrown off of like this huge tower. Like she would have done that whether she was siding with Carnage or not. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
would have still happened. Like
yeah, because like every time that she goes to scream, Carnage like hits her to make her stop screaming. That makes sense. But the fact that Venom uses that as like the last minute, and like he doesn't try to like get her to scream, like try to like piss her off or something like that throughout the entire fight. He's just trying to fist fight Carnage the entire time. It's so dumb. It's like, why would you not use that to your advantage, even though it may hurt you? It's like the only thing that he can actually use to take Carnage down. It's
aside from Dan and his random gasoline.
Yeah. And the fact that
Right.
the fact that he just does it out of nowhere, it's random. And the fact that he also doesn't use that either. It's like, what are you doing? And as I mentioned before, they're goo monsters that regenerate, so you can't tell which is hurting the other the most. It's basically
It is, really.
it's just
Till the film is over.
Yeah. Until like they decide to where like they separate it from each other, and then Venom eats Carnage, which doesn't evolve into hybrid. Fuck it, I guess. And then he goes to pick up Carnage, or not Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Eddie. I just wanted your friendship." They had a pretty fucking funny way of showing that. And then they
All
had
friends do, yeah.
That's my opinion on Carnage as a whole, and just eats them.
Yeah. and they have to like just throw away their one fuck word to where he's like, "Fuck this guy," and just eats his head. Even though I saw that coming. He's like, "I'm sorry, Cletus." Like, well, what's Venom gonna do? He's just gonna eat his head.
Exactly.
Like, no matter what he said, like you could just replace Cletus's words with anything.
Exactly,
Like,
yeah. It means nothing because it's not.
I don't feel
consistent
bad
with action.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really matter what he says. Like the result will still be the same. No matter what.
Exactly. Yeah. He could have said like if you don't kill me now, I'm just gonna kill again, and then like chomp, or "I'm sorry, Eddie," chomp. He's like, "I got one more thing to tell you, Eddie," chomp.
I'm your dad, Eddie.
Chomp. I mean, what's Venom gonna do if he says like something that's like a twist? Is it, he's just gonna bend over and fight him? Yeah, it's like you said. There is no other way that was gonna go down. It's like the way they built that up is just awful. I can't. Fuck.
So it's like the whole point of like Eddie only going to jail to see him in the first place, because like there might be more victims that he might reveal in his last like final moments, such as the whole catalyst to like him becoming Carnage. But like, I don't know, like maybe they could have found out if there actually was any more.
Yeah, like
otherwise, there's no real point in like going like oh, let's give Carnage his final words like or anything.
Yeah, like I don't know if like I think this would have been interesting if like not to say I want to help support the movie, but I don't know, have like Cletus say like, oh, there was one more thing, one more victim that I never told you about. And it's like, what's that? I know where your daddy is, because in the movie, for some reason, Cletus Cassidy knows about Eddie's past, which is never brought up in the first movie.
Just so random. Say, right. By the way,
that like you wouldn't know unless you read the comics, but like about his relationship, Eddie's relationship with his dad and his mom, how she died from like childbirth. I mean, some interpretations are, but the point is that his mom is gone and his dad blames him, and his relationship with his dad is bad. So in the end, I don't know, you like have it to where Cletus knows about Eddie Brock's past. He's like, I know where your daddy is, and then like Venom, like out of impulse because he's just gluttonous, goes to chomp, and then Eddie's like, no. What happened to my dad? And then, like, I don't know, they can have, like, another adventure to where, like, they go and find out more about Eddie Brock's past. But, I don't know, add something to where it's not predictable.
I mean, it's not really, that's the whole thing. They don't really have a point in introducing, like, a new element to lead to a new character because, Venom's just hanging out with Spider-Man now.
Well, not anymore. Because, because of the ending of No Way Home. That made me crack up a lot. Because we've already spoiled stuff for Spider-Man No Way Home before, so I don't see a point in trying to protect it anymore. But as Eddie Brock shows up, he's learning about the new world that he's in, that there are Avengers, there's Iron Man, there's Hulk, and he's like, well, maybe I should go to the Spider-Man guy and get some help. But then, right as he said that, he's sent immediately back to where he comes from. And like, we just got here! And, of course, there's like a little puddle of goo that's left there for another Venom. But I'm just...
For Spider-Man, anyway.
Yeah, for Spider-Man. But that just felt like, to me, like a Marvel kind of like spitting in the face of Sony, saying, like, just using a loophole to have to put Venom into their next Spider-Man movie, just so they don't have to
like, okay, we'll justify your little Spider-Man-less universe, and then we'll get rid of you.
They're like, I mean, it's like, you said in your contract that Venom had to appear in your next Spider-Man movie. Well, he did appear. We just never said how long he had to be in it.
He was there.
It's sort of like when Christian Bale wanted a Robin in his trilogy, and then it only happened at the very last minute.
You should use your name more often. I like that name, Robin.
Then never again.
Which sucks, because I think Christopher Nolan could have actually utilized a really cool looking Robin, especially if he was based off of Nightwing or Tim Drake, but that's neither here or there. It's done. It's gone. Bye bye.
They pull No Way Home, but who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just so many inconsistencies with the movie that I noticed, especially on my second viewing. And what's hard for me to really get invested into the movie, besides my whole rant on why Venom is Spider-Man, is I don't like Venom a lot in this movie. Like, specifically the alien and his attitude towards Eddie. I mean, I know they're still trying to have like that, the behavior for Eddie to be like a loser. But Venom just continuously bullies him throughout the entire movie. And then they just have that cheap moment, like later on in the movie, to where they notice that Cletus Cassidy and Carnage are having a hard time trying to get on the same thought process. And then he's like, see, they're not symbiotic, but we are. But throughout the entire movie, if Venom's not having his way, he's just berating and bullying him to the point to where he's literally throwing him across the room and like
pinning them up against the ceiling to where they're physically fighting each other. It's like, I get that they're trying to get it to have an arc to where they have to come together, but it doesn't feel earned. It just
like
feels
the reunification is not earned by comparison, which I think they need more time for.
definitely, yeah. It makes no sense to me that they would decide to just have an hour and a half movie when most of the superhero movies that come out nowadays are either 2.5 hours long to maybe even 3. It's like,
I mean, I wouldn't take it to that degree. I don't think you absolutely need 3 hours
Well,
all
Yeah.
the time. Especially not for this movie. It's a very straightforward concept of monsters fighting each other. But
but if you are trying to get your audience invested into these characters, you gotta focus on them a lot more, which I guess they don't need to, because everybody just continuously loves this version of Eddie Brock and Venom to the point to where they're just drawing fan art of him to where they're just basically fucking each other or cuddling each other, gay stuff.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of the metaphor with those two.
Yeah. May as well go for it.
Yeah, go for it. You know what? Fuck it. We don't need to try. Just oh, look, don't they look cute? They're so cute together. they're just having a lover spat. This is just a phase. I'm glad that some people can get into it, but it also infuriates me at the same time because they're continuing with this version of Eddie Brock, but there's nothing I can really do about it unless I want to be violent, but I don't because I'm lazy, and I'd rather not go to prison for the rest of my life.
It's a good goal.
Yeah. So, overall, just throughout this entire movie, it just feels inconsistent, and there's just a lot of dumb stuff. I mean, I know there's goofy stuff, but like there are like a lot of like attempts of humor that I just didn't laugh at, and also some goofy stuff that just seemed dumb or weird. Like when Carnage or Cletus Cassidy goes to a gas station, he uses the guy's computer, like the clerk's computer, and uses Carnage to hack the internet to find Shriek. Like the symbiote literally goes into the computer. I know this is also based off the comics. If they didn't actually look at the comic book, then it's a wild coincidence. But that's dumb. That is like a really dumb thing to me. But I don't know. It just seems so off. And also like the thing I mentioned with the rave, it just seems very out of place. I think that would have done better if like I don't know, if there was a Venom movie to where Eddie Brock and Venom are the protagonists and the antagonists, to where they're fighting each other, because that feels more like a character study, and it just feels out of nowhere just because Venom is being a little bitch, trying to stay away from Eddie as much as possible. And then also, like I mentioned before, to where Eddie needs Venom back just because he needs him to kill a bad guy. It doesn't flow properly. I hate it. And that's why I can't believe that Andy Serkis directed this. It's just and he's really smart. He's a really smart director. I've seen some of the movies that he's done before. He's really smart in the drawing boards. It's just, I don't know how this movie just turned out to be how it was, especially under Andy Serkis's direction. Like, did the studio get too involved? Did he just not care about it? Because I don't know, it seems more like the latter to me. That he just didn't care about this character. I was just looking for a paycheck, really. And also, the consistency of on who controls who with the symbiotes seem confusing to me. Because from what the first movie presents is like whenever we see Venom and he's like all big and hulking, he's in control, right? And then whenever Eddie, we see Tom Hardy, he's the one in control for the most part, because Venom can still like move his arms or his whole body, or like sprout tentacles coming out of his body. But whenever Eddie is behind the wheel, it almost seems like he has no control whatsoever. It's like Venom is always the one in control. But there's like a part in the movie to where Cletus and Eddie are fighting and they can't switch
on and off because the bell keeps going off in the church to where it hurts them. But they still like launch at each other as if they're in control of the aliens pushing them to fight each other. So it just seems like, well, who's in control of who?
I mean, at that point, I think it was just Eddie and Cletus just having a big brawl against each other, which just like, which, considering that like Cletus wasn't really into like whatever was happening with. I mean, I guess he hated Eddie, so yeah, I guess it was like, hey, I see Eddie now instead of Venom. I guess I'll fight you.
Yeah, I mean,
it made this story I hated.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense like when it's just them, and then like he takes like a mallet and to hurt him, which is pointless because they still can't kill each other. But when you see it's just Cletus and
they're not made more
Eddie.
vulnerable. It's not like the Venom side is like an armor for him or anything.
Yeah, and like if he just breaks his leg, we've seen what happened in the first movie to where Venom's just gonna heal him all back up and make him better again. It's like, but the point I'm trying to get is that when you see the humans, they're obviously in control for the most part. When you see the monsters, they're the ones who are in control. Sometimes, I don't know, they try to make it seem like it, but I guess they can use their powers, even though Venom was directing Eddie Brock when he was like doing like the whole drawing board thing to find where Cletus Cassidy put all the bodies of the family at.
Yeah. Like, it seems that both have control somewhat, though. Like, yeah, it just depends on the moment, really, with them.
Yeah.
Like one person really being in control in a given situation, which again would have made more consistent if again the Venom head on him remained like a mental construct for him. Not
Yeah,
like,
because
you know,
yeah, because in the comics, like usually it's Eddie that's in control of Venom because Venom's just like usually on par, like whatever thought process Eddie Brock is going. Like there'll be times to where like he takes over because he has an agenda, but most of the time he just lets Eddie do whatever he wants. And this goes especially for Cletus Cassidy with Carnage, since they are basically the same mind. I know that's not the case here, but it seems like they're trying to do either or, to where they switch on and switch off with the alien and alien off alien, and then sometimes it'll show like Eddie and then Cletus having control of the aliens, and then vice versa.
yeah. Like Cletus is not really united with Carnage, which makes sense given like Shriek and the relationship, partially, but like in the end, like they're trying to make Carnage this separate being. It only allows like Woody Harrelson to have his voice become Carnage's voice.
Yeah.
Which really does not make Carnage sound threatening. It's like, it's really, even with Woody Harrelson, who's like this big time actor, it sounds like a fan
Yeah,
like a high pitched like, and not even like threatening high pitched like Carnage usually is in like the '90s show and things like that. More just like, I don't know, a really bad high pitched sort of vibe.
Yeah, it sounds odd, like the way that they approach that, because like with Venom, he's got like the deep voice, and it seemed like they tried to do that, but it also seemed like they were just more or less just messing with Woody Harrelson's voice just to sound inhuman, rather than to sound menacing. And if their
to
attempt
sound
was,
more Woody Harrelson than normal Woody Harrelson.
yeah, and if their attempt was to try to like go for like that psycho killer theme, I don't see it. It just sounds like Woody Harrelson with edits on his voice.
Which I always found that he was a miscast even down to the end credits scene when he first appeared. Like,
I actually thought he was a perfect fit, but I guess not.
I never thought he would be good down to the bad wig that they chose for him. In both versions of the movie, he just switched from one bad wig to another bad wig. And Yeah, just his overall voice and demeanor. It just did not seem unhinged to me. It just seemed like they were just going for normal Woody Harrelson weird. I never thought he'd be able to pull it off. And he did not prove me wrong.
Yeah. It was just a lot of weird choices that took place in this movie. And I can't tell if they were actually trying to take this seriously, like with the themes that they wanted to portray for this version of Venom, or if they just didn't care. It's like, oh, just use what worked last time, and then we'll just film it.
Yeah, the chemistry tests of a lifetime between Tom Hardy and himself. It still works, but I feel like, yeah, you need more for the rest of the film next time around, which, yeah, that's why I just gave it a fine rating.
Yeah, and I mean, the worst part for me about this, I probably said that like 5 times already. But the worst part about this for me is that the first one felt mediocre, like kind of like your standard superhero film. But this one, it's painful to watch for me. Like I can't get invested with this. Like almost like throughout most of the movie, I just can't have fun with it, like at all. I mean, it could be because of the mindset I mentioned earlier, but I see just so many inconsistencies, and with like everything, like with the setting, the lighting, the acting, the direction of the characters, and especially the writing. It just seems all over the place for me. I just can't get into this movie. I just can't watch it without getting angry. Like the difference between this movie and the first one is, the first one I can put up with. I can probably just, like, if it's on TV, I can probably just leave it on as like white noise, like just background music while I'm like cooking or something like that. But this one, if it's on and I change it, I will immediately change it to something else, because there are very few movies to me that I actually feel insulted by. And this is one of them, along like with Jurassic World, because that one like just completely insults me from 4 different perspectives. But this one in particular insults me as like a comic book fan, as a writer, and as an audience member, to like the point where it almost like treats me as if I'm mentally retarded, like legally mentally retarded. So.
I don't know, I feel it's more the opposite for me. I preferred this one to Venom 1. It improved in some areas, and yeah, actually focused on the things that people liked was also probably a big advantage there.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally.
I mean, yeah, I do admit that they did improve on the fight scenes.
Yeah.
But
The action was like rather bland in the first Venom.
Oh yeah, especially the last one, since it like takes place at night, and you can't. You have to like look very hard. Yeah, you have to look hard to tell the difference between a gray monster and a black monster in the middle of the night.
Literally, the only difference between the villain and the hero is shades, and I guess their face, the one one's face is slightly thinner than the other.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't help in the second one, to where the main light source is like orange, and that blends in almost too well with Carnage.
I mean, it allows him. He at least stands out a little more due to like all the red bits of him, but no, I think they definitely needed like possibly better. I'd sort this time around. Maybe not the same one as with the riot fight, because like as shown with some of the fights in the church, you definitely can't tell whether it's Venom and Carnage if it's really low lighting.
Yeah,
you definitely need like a large light source in order to like have them stand out a bit. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely worked very well when like they were on top of the church, actually, because because they're in the open air, and then
because like, the church is lit up, so you can see Venom standing on it, and then Carnage is just red goo on the outside of like what's just bluish black night. And oh my god, I hated that they had the stupid line to where they had to say the title. Like they
Yeah,
said
say
it
the
was like-
title.
yeah, like they said it like it came from. It sounded like a video game, like what do they call it? Like when they have like a catchphrase. Like if there's like I don't know, like a Mortal Kombat character coming out and they'll like say like something like I could do this all day, or like I make this look easy, or like bow down before me, mortal. Like Shao Kahn would say. Like, Carnage literally out of nowhere after he like knocks Venom into the buildings. Let there be carnage, and there's like an echo that happens like it's in a video game.
Like they're trying to make it like this epic moment, like Carnage had won, but he just like started a fight and threatened to kill Eddie's girlfriend ex-girlfriend in this church for this like abandoned wedding. Like it's not really like trying to like have this big moment of his rise or whatever, but like it wasn't really anything. Like he was born like for a day. Like I feel like if Ultron had said this is the age of Ultron somewhere in his own movie. Like,
Yeah, it's not like he's breaking off to like to kill like the civilians in the city. Like if he was doing that and like he was like shredding them up to where it's just like one gigantic mess of blood and guts, that would make more sense to why he would say that. It would still be dumb, but it would make more sense than him just knocking his dad into a building and just saying, "Let there be carnage."
Like it's just like one of those times in a video game where you have like an underwhelming death, a boss fight, like in a random section that means nothing, and then you have like the game over scene afterwards for some like video games, like the character standing over you to say some epic catchphrase.
I'm gonna start thinking of it that way now. It's like he thinks that he just killed Venom, and he's just doing the game over screen. It's like, oh shit, he's still alive.
Yeah, Venom just clicked a retry, so back at it.
I told you, Father. Let there be. Oh, he's getting up.
Wrong time.
Use my extra life.
Yeah. What did you hear? Yeah. There's just a lot of dumb moments like that. I think like I know I've already like went like full on like Mr. Negative on this, but
a villain for one of these Sony movies.
Wait, oh god, yeah, no, please no.
Spider-Man was Mr. Negative.
People think it's a musical for some reason. But even though I've gone really negative on the movie, I mean there are some things that I do find funny. Not really like through the delivery, but more of like the action, because like when Mrs. Chen is bonded, when she's bonded with Venom, and then like the actor for Mrs. Chen is like crossing her arms together and like she speaking as Venom like towards Anne, like dude was a dick. I did like that she went like full, she like really hammed it up on like Venom's mannerisms as he's like yelling.
You can definitely tell that she knows how Venom talks. I appreciate that.
She was really good at blocking that, and like the way like she's like yelling at Anne that Eddie's being a dick, and then the way that she's like taking in like Anne complimenting Venom. It's like, it's like, you're so hot. You're like, you're the best. Like, really? I guess I am. Yeah, like she portrayed that really well. I did like that. That actually was pretty funny to me.
Yeah. That was a cool scene. I give lots of credit to Andy Serkis for that one and direction, but yeah, probably. So just playing Mrs. Chen as well.
Mm-hmm.
She was a cool character, even if she only had like a minor role in the last one. So I can appreciate bringing her back, Venom's main chocolate confidant.
Well, that's another problem that this movie seems to have for me. It's just like it doesn't really know what to do with its characters unless it's just Eddie, Venom, Carnage, Cletus Cassidy, and I think that's about it. Like, because everybody else, yeah, because it just seems like they don't know what to do with Detective Mulligan besides berate and like play bad cop with Eddie.
I don't know. Oh, why I keep on putting up with you, Eddie? So tired all the time.
How's he doing it, Eddie?
Only...
How's he making people see monsters?
Yeah, come on, Eddie. Like, really getting angry at you. Like, I don't know why I have like another cop on this case, but
I'm the only policeman in all of San Francisco. I gotta protect this city.
I'm the only one.
And then you have Mrs. Chen that's really there just for the comedy bit with Eddie, with Venom, which, like I said, I did appreciate. But it also seems weird that they just include her in there to just mention that she doesn't have any chocolate for him. And the fact that Eddie doesn't elaborate why it's important for her to have chocolate. He's like, oh, you just gotta like stop protecting me like everybody else. Like, oh no, you can't eat Mr. Chen. He's like, why would you say something like that? Even though he can just say, look, Mr. Chen, it's very important. We gotta feed Venom so he doesn't eat any good people. And then she'll immediately start like looking for chocolate. And then was it Dan? Honestly, it doesn't seem like Dan really has much to do in this movie either, because like in the first one he actually helps Eddie, like I mentioned before. In this one it just kind of just seems like he's just around because we need to establish that Anne has her fiance. And oh my god, that was a dumb scene too. So who does this? Have you guys ever had this situation before to where an ex-girlfriend invites you privately to dinner to where it's just the two of you to tell you that she's getting married to somebody else?
Yeah, all the time actually. Yeah, happens quite often.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm sorry.
I can't say that happens with me.
I'm sorry that happened to you so often there, Chris.
It's one of those things you get used to.
I mean, it really just seems like they just are still using that fancy restaurant set.
Hey, what else can we do in this
only
restaurant?
place that they hang out, like they just hang out at the restaurant and like waste half their budget just to hang out.
Oh my god.
They don't go anywhere else. Like they just go there.
Oh.
And it's not like they can't go anywhere else. They're just too lazy to like look up at a different restaurant.
It's a restaurant we know. We'll just go there.
That or it's Avi Arad's like favorite restaurant or something like that.
Oh.
This has to be in the movie, otherwise I'm not funding you guys anymore. But yeah, like who does that? Who invites their ex to a private dinner just to tell them that they're getting married?
Even in the last movie, or this one, like she invited him over just to at this fancy restaurant just to like tell him about how how her current job is going with the main villain. Like that's kind of it. Like.
I mean, that's understandable because they're still dating, and then she's like, just like, they're having a special.
I guess I could just like randomly bring it up, but like, yeah, it's not like the main topic of discussion, like the wedding thing. But like, with that, it's like, yeah, you're basically wasting this money for like all this expensive food just to like do something that you could easily just like go over to his place and like, you know.
Yeah. What's worse, that is the same restaurant that they were talking about her case with Carlin and Drake, right?
Yeah, with Drake.
Yeah, so
it's the exact same one.
Yeah, why would she invite him to a place that they go to have dinner to where they were once engaged to announce that she got engaged, that she's gonna get married to another guy? That's ludicrous. That's like if you like take someone to where you had your first date that where you guys were actually looking to get married. Like, I don't know, like if it's like a Barnes and Noble, and it's the same Barnes and Noble, and say like, hey, look at this ring I have on my finger.
You know what this means, right?
Yeah, I'm willing to bet Eddie also proposed in that exact same restaurant.
That's where my mindset's
Oh my
at.
god,
It's like,
yeah, you're probably right.
It's the only place that they know.
it's like Shaun of the Dead, to where like they keep going to the same pub the entire time.
Yes.
It's like, but who would do it? Like, that would be especially worse if he proposed in the same exact restaurant.
Yep.
So I don't know what the hell they're doing in the writing room, but I guess it's working because it made what, like $9 million, $90 million.
Yeah, it
That's
made
what
more
I'm
than
saying.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Just
God.
around.
Damn it! I hate you, Sony. God.
This time they didn't need to make it back with Eminem and
Oh my god.
Oh, they didn't need to, but he did do a song, but he wasn't like the main event.
I'm kind of surprised that they replaced it with that girl there instead of just Eminem just like physically cameoing, but I guess they realized that it would be pretentious.
Yeah.
Typically they do that. They do that.
Yeah, oh, yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
These movies.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about it because I'm just gonna prone on about every single thing about the movie.
So yeah, now what is the review of the tater tots out of
How many tater tots we got left here? What are we looking at?
I'm only giving this 2 tater tots.
2 tater tots?
If I was going off an objective point of view only, I'd probably say like 4, because I'm basing it off of like a writer's perspective. But this is also emotional for me, so I'd say fuck off. This is dumb shit. Some old bullshit. Yeah, this is just, I cannot get into this movie. The first one maybe, but this one, like I said, it's like on my list of movies that I loathe. Because at first I did hate this movie when it first came out, but like looking at it now and then like reviewing like all of like the problems that are in this movie, I cannot get into it. Especially since they had the goal to include this version of Venom with the latest Spider-Man, or just any Spider-Man in general, just to have that, just have them related, when the whole point was to branch off, get away from Spider-Man, just so Sony can have this other property of Spider-Man, which they can have if they just change the costumes of the different Spider-Men. You don't have to take one of his villains and then advertise it like a Spider-Man film and say it's a Spider-Man spin-off, even though this Venom never interacted with Spider-Man. And
they're not really spinning off from anything if like this universe just is a Spider-Man-less universe. It's a universe with aliens,
because
from other worlds that happen to interact with Spider-Man in other universes, but here he doesn't exist.
Because just the other day I went to Walmart and like they have like this whole like collection of Spider-Man movies that you can buy, and they have like their special like cover art, and Venom is part of it. And I believe it was either on the back of the description or it was somewhere else, but it said Spider-Man spin-off movie. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not at all. It's not even the same character that was from Spider-Man 3.
I mean, like, he probably got the memories of Spider-Man from Spider-Man 3, but like that's about it, as much as it connects.
Yeah.
It doesn't
And
go any further than that.
Still fucked it up. Like I said, I'm angry. I'm just gonna get worse unless I do something productive. So, 2 tater tots, no more, no less.
2 tater tots.
Alright.
But I do have to thank you guys extensively for putting up with my very adolescent rant.
No, it's fun. Yeah, good stuff.
And I thank you guys again for giving your honest opinions on the movie. I am glad that you guys did enjoy it. I wish I could be you, but I cannot. I wish I could enjoy the finer things in life. But alas,
Venom too.
but alas, I am cursed with knowledge, and therefore I am miserable.
Man.
But,
I mean, I don't really see it as a Spider-Man spin-off. I just see it as a movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's about the end of our episode. This has already gone on about like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Almost 3
Maybe
hours.
This was a long one, but thank you very much for sitting here and listening to us be optimistic, spiteful, hateful, and
Yes.
somewhere in the middle, as all things should be, perfectly
Yes.
balanced.
Perfectly fine.
But if you have different opinions about the movie yourself, please let us know in the comments below. Tell us what you
Down there.
thought about the movie. Yeah, right down there. I may ignore it. I may not. It's a gamble. So you never know. Christopher may ignore it too, but he's a better human being than I am, so he's probably going to be feel morally obligated
Oh.
to read everything you guys have to list down.
Yeah, I've been reading them too.
Yeah.
Silently lurking.
In the shadows.
He doesn't let you
Uh,
know whether or not he's read it or not. But,
You'll never know. And maybe I'll silently look you behind a computer screen. Who knows?
and just like peering out, like was just like a it's not a grin, but like a look that looks like Kratos, to where he's like always angry. But besides that, thank you very much for listening again, and I think I will be on our way to sign off, because we forgot to introduce ourselves again.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Oh no. Mystery guess.
So, I have been your host, the Funny Hatter, and the person figuratively to my left is...
X-Men.
the X-Man, Victor X-Man. That's his full legal name.
Yes. And I'm Christopher.
And,
Oh.
Yep, and that is Christopher. He always likes to just say hi.
Hi.
And yep, that was our review.
There it is.
Yeah, it was very, very well thought out. It was very much prepared. I think Mahler, if you guys know who Mahler is, I think he'd be quite jealous. We're definitely on his level now.
Yes.
It's like 3 hour.
I don't know Mahler, so I don't know if that's like a personal insult to him or something.
Oh no, he's way smarter and like more like well thought out than we will probably ever be. But then again, he does have like his rants to where he'll have like a video, like say like on The Last Jedi, and he'll like go like 30 minutes for like saying like what the fuck, and then he'll have, and like alternatively he has like a 3-part video, three videos that are in 3 parts, to where they're well analyzed, they're well written, and he like talks like like the most stereotypical British person you'll ever hear.
Okay, it's one of those types of channels.
Oh,
I'll try
those
to-
types of channels.
Again, I'm not sure what I'm trying to do here. I'm not saying it's an insult. It's just like, yeah, those are kind of the videos using the Britishness to the advantage. Because we all need to add more Britishness, like Tom
Oh.
Hardy does in his movies.
Yes.
I'll have to add more minor British next time, though.
That better be the next Venom movie. He just decides to say fuck it and just be British, unapologetically British throughout the
Yes.
movie.
If Tom Holland doesn't have to be, then us shall be British in his place.
You see, I have to represent us Brits in the MCU, which I'm very much a part of, and Eddie Brock has always been British. He's just been trying to hide it.
Yep, it's the third symbiote. UK.
It's like, we are Venom. I do say, that is quite an interesting name.
Are united among the kingdom. Say the Queen.
We are the lethal protector. God save the Queen.
Oh man. Alright.
Okay, bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.